You all for coming. April 15th, 2026, the Chelsea Board of Assessors. Before we start the meeting, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, a statement for Victor Warren, account 1666, in the amount of $83.47.
Here to present the abatement. I'm here on purpose this time. So the long and short of it is that the owner of this building requested that their two properties be combined. They requested this a few years back, and as a result of that not being done, their homestead and veterans exemption covered the entirety of one of the properties and left them short. They had more exemption to go, and so I am just asking essentially to go back to 2022 when he asked it to combine the lots, combine them, and that way he can get his full veterans and homestead exemption. Kind of a look back a little bit, but I feel in this case he brought it up before, it just wasn't done. So I feel pretty safe to say that he's in the right here. The account number, I apologize, it's 843. That's the corrected version, and yes, the valuation total is $4,939. That is what would have, as subtraction off his total valuation after combining the two lots. And the taxable amount is $83.47.
Okay.
You said 843, did you mean 1843?
843. I put a 1, that's an error.
So the one shouldn't be there.
The 1 shouldn't be there, yes.
Okay.
There is unfortunately no 1843.
Okay.
If it was our error, I think it is the right thing to do. So I'm fine with it. Jane, okay? Okay. So I will make a motion that we approve to abate Victor Lawrence account 843 in the amount of $83.47.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Alright, any other business for us?
That's great. You have a copy to sign?
We do, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, thank you.
So we're gonna adjourn and then move right into our regular scheduled meeting. So public comment on any items not on the agenda. Tanya, can I ask you to podium, please? I know, sorry.
The first question is, well, actually probably a couple, are for our road commissioner. Were there any permits issued while the roads were posted for people to pass with heavy load?
Yes, there are.
How many?
I don't have that number in front of me, but I'm gonna 5-ish, I think.
Okay.
And usually they're the same ones every year that they need like,
Permission to go home?
nope, he didn't actually call this year at all. The one at the corner of Tony,
Bennett.
yep, they always, no, not Bennett, the landscaping company. Yeah, Bangkok. Somebody was having something from Home Depot delivered,
Okay.
so.
So there was no permit issued for somebody to do major work on their semi-private road?
No.
So somebody did work on their semi-private road, was not cold enough to haul. And also my husband's seen trucks going up and down. Are we enforcing this next year at all?
So, prior to my arrival, permits were graciously given out with no issues at all. There was a multitude of permits in that file. I try to curb it as much as I can. I try to make them explain to me exactly what they need it for, encourage the cold weather traveling. If it's as far as a posted road that's permanently posted, they're allowed deliveries as long as they take the quickest route in and out.
Right, just no through trucks are allowed. to drive,
Correct.
right.
Correct, so, I kind of do it on a case-by-case basis.
And that's understandable, it's just the fact that somebody in town had work done on their road, was hauled when it was not called Mr. Hall. Doesn't look good.
Unfortunately, if I don't know about it.
Well, the person could have told you.
I would like to suggest that the board reconsider meeting twice a month like it was done in the past. This would allow better access for the townspeople, allow the town manager to brief, update, and get feedback from the entire board at once, and not individually. The warrants can be handled in a more transparent and expedient way. Signing warrants outside of the meeting was always reserved for payroll. Technically, if two board members signed them outside of the meeting, then checks can be sent out. This would not allow the third person, whoever it would be, a chance to voice any objections or question any certain payments.
Alright. Moving on to number 3, update for Kennebec County Sheriff's Office. You've got the floor.
I got the floor, so I don't have the exact numbers for, I believe it was March, but I know we did 10 details. In those details, just doing as we do, stopping cars, getting moving violations, speed, inspection stickers. It just provides a good opportunity for us to do selective enforcement in this town rather than on our regular patrol where we're constantly getting pulled away, and we can actually provide a law enforcement presence. Have people seeing the lights, seeing the cruisers, law enforcement around, just kind of slows people down, lets them know that, hey, we are out there, and try to keep everything within the bounds of the law. I don't have the exact stats on how many stops were made or how many tickets are issued, but like I said before, I know we've done 10 last month, and I believe we're continuing to do that going forward.
It depends on if you guys have staff enough to cover details.
Okay, yeah, that's always the issue with the county right now, but hopefully coming this next contract, we have more positions and more bodies on the road able to help out.
Nice. Thank you. I don't have anything to bring to your attention. Anybody, either one of you have anything? No? Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have a public hearing. Any adjustments to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Approval of consent agenda. All papers, all the- AP warrant number 28 in the amount of $356,774.90. B, AP warrant number 29 in the amount of $23.93. C, AP warrant number 45, fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $100. D, payroll warrant week number 11 in the amount of $4,501.95. E, payroll warrant week number 12 in the amount of $6,767.15. F, payroll warrant week number 13 in the amount of $4,349.93. G, payroll warrant week number 14 in the amount of $5,621.64. H, payroll warrant week number 15 in the amount of $5,703.50. And I, minutes of the March 11th, 2026 meeting.
Make a motion to approve B through I as read.
I can second that. Any discussion?
Is there What's the reasoning for the small amount on B?
That was $23.93.
I don't have that.
Yeah. It was, I wanna say maybe a report that didn't get filed.
Yeah, okay.
Let me think about that for a second. $23.93. I have too many numbers in my head. No, I know what it was. I had a mileage submission from our alternate CEO. I took the number at the bottom, which included all the other towns that she is also an alternate CEO in. I realized it after I issued the warrant that is above that, warrant number 28, so I voided the check from 28, gave her the actual mileage in warrant 29 for $23.93.
Okay, thank you.
It comes to me. And the $100 for fiscal year 25 was the plumbing report.
So you second that, or I second yours, so, all those in favor of B through I? So I will make the motion that, consent agenda item A, be approved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
And
Opposed? Thank you.
Sorry. Moving on, scheduled items, new business. Meet with RSU 12 Superintendent Mr. Hubble to review the school budget.
All right, you want me standing over here? Yes?
Sure.
And did everyone get one, Tanya? All right, I was told you have a super long agenda and I need to keep it to 15 minutes. So it usually takes me an hour. So I'm talking really fast and you've got some of these slides. I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail. You can ask me questions if you want. But I'll try and get to the numbers, which might be the most interesting to folks. So page 1, that's the towns in the RSU, 7 towns. Page 2, our budget meeting is on May 20th. Please attend the meeting. Our attendance tends to be low at the meeting. That's a town meeting style meeting where folks get to vote on the 11 cost centers of the budget. The budget's been recommended by the school board. That was done last week on April 9th. So you're about to hear the actual budget, which doesn't usually happen. Page 3 was the tour of all the towns that's coming to an end here at Chelsea. Oh, I usually do introductions, so we'll slow me down here. So I'm Howie Tuttle, Superintendent for RSU 12.
Michelle Grant, I'm the business manager for RSU 12.
Scott Grady, school board.
And Scott's also on the finance committee, just so you know. Let's see, long-range goals. Did I miss anybody? No. But, well, our former board chair's here as well. Steve. All right. Page 4. Long-range goals from our long-range plan. Page 5. These are continuing priorities. There's once again nothing new in this budget that's causing costs to go up. The only thing that is new actually is a section of roof at Whitefield. We've been delaying roof replacements for quite a while as we're trying to get through these tough budget years, but we need to get going on that. It's the roof is old, so we've got a bunch of sections to do. So we're gonna do one section at a time over the next couple of years. So this year is the year for the increase, but next year we'll replace, we'll just do another roof. But we could go to the taxpayers for a bond, vote on a bond, but the interest rates just are not very good, and it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. All right, page 6 is a snapshot of student achievement. Just to know that we are above the state average, which was not the case if you went back 10, 15 years. We were below the state average, so a lot of hard work by a lot of different people getting our test scores up. Page 7 is a list of all the various ways the school board has been finding ways to save money, and these are all embedded in the budget somewhere. None of this is new, you've heard it before, but it's just a list to know. A lot of hard work went into that. Page 5 are some grant-funded opportunities that we've had that have been ongoing, and I don't think any of these are new. So if you heard this last year, it's all still going on, still the same stuff. Page 9 is our student count across the district, which has been dropping a little bit since COVID. We're headed up, and now we're heading back down, which is similar to the state of Maine. Although the state of Maine dropped about 4% between FY26 and FY27, and we didn't. We lost one student district-wide. So the more students, the better for your subsidy, especially in comparison to the state. Page 10 is Chelsea's student count, subsidizable student count, which is going down slightly. It's a little deceiving. This is your subsidizable student count. You have a number of students who are choosing to go to charter schools, which aren't in these numbers. If they go to charter school, the state pays for that, so it's not in these numbers. So there's the Maine Arts Academy, which has expanded, and they send a bus right into Chelsea here. So they are starting to capture some, enroll some students there. So that anyway, so your numbers are down a little bit. Page 11 is where all your subsidizable students are going to high school. And since I've been here, there has been a migration from Coney to Erskine, mostly because Coney stopped sending a bus. It's not for lack of trying. I call them every year and say, you know, you really should send a bus. You're missing a major tuition opportunity here. So they're going to start sending a bus now next year. And I think the reason is probably because they have room now, right? Because student populations are going down in Maine generally, in the capital area. So they have room. They do want our students. And I know the town of Chelsea has always, you know, had a relationship with Coney and thought of Coney as their high school. We've gotten away from that a bit. Anyway, spread the word. Buses coming into RSU 12 to pick up students who want to go to Coney. So I imagine that we might start seeing a migration away from Erskine and back to Coney over the years. The other thing to know is you did have a big senior class that graduated, and you can see your freshman class is not quite as big for next year. That also attributed to some of your student population decrease. But the lower grades at Chelsea School are growing. So page 13, I would say, is one of the most important slides in this presentation. So this is Chelsea's valuation. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, and so it just keeps going up by quite a bit. So the state of Maine, property valuations have been going up across the state of Maine since COVID. I think we can all see it happening. State of Maine is up 15%. No, sorry, 14%. RSU 12 is up 15%. So this is year over year. Sorry, not year over year. It's a 3-year rolling average. So your evaluation might be higher than that, actually. These numbers come from the Maine Revenue Services. But Chelsea's, so if you do the math, that's a 19% increase. So the problem with that is you lose state subsidy. And so, you know, I've been here for almost 15 years. I've watched the town of Chelsea change an awful lot according to this evaluation number. And so you keep losing subsidy. So I assume that you see that happening for whatever, I don't know if it's new homes being built or if it's just properties going up. These numbers come from home sales, but it affects your subsidy. And so if Windsor went through this, they were trying to understand, you know, why is our tax bill going up so much? It's because the state knows you're bringing in all this revenue, and subsidy is based on ability to pay. And so last year was, I don't know if you remember, last year was really tough. You lost a lot of subsidy compared to the other towns. This year you did not. You actually did okay because you, and you'll see that at the end, because in our formula we count your students and you pay per student. So you lost students compared to the rest of the towns, but you also lost subsidy compared to some of the towns. So, you know, Westport Island is, their valuation's at 310 million. So you're almost getting up there with Westport Island, which is very, very different than 15 years ago. You know, I don't know how that works and, you know, with you and setting your budgets and setting your mill rates and all that stuff. But the town is, I mean, the state is looking at the town of Chelsea in a way that was not like this 15 years ago. And people get very confused about that. So you're essentially losing revenue. It's kind of like, what's that revenue sharing that you get? It's the same thing on the school side. You're losing revenue every year because the state says, well, look at the property valuation. And so having it jump up 19% is you know, I was shocked. I was like, oh no. And I immediately went to look to see how much subsidy you got and breathed a sigh of relief, and it was because your student count's down a little bit.
So if you had more students, would it help it?
So there's moving parts, right? So the district funding formula is based on your student count.
Right.
All right, so we take the cost per student, which is the same for everybody. Everyone's paying the same amount. And we multiply it by how many kids you have, right? So the fact that you had less kids meant that the overall charge was less. Then we take out the subsidy that you get, right? Now your subsidy, it increased, but not as much as it could have, right? So you'll see the end result isn't terrible. But I do worry, like next year, if your student count goes back up again compared to the other towns, it's always compared to the other towns. It's like what percentage of the overall student population do you have? And if that goes up, right, you're gonna get charged a little more. Now you get more subsidy for students, but not if your property valuations are going up like this. You know, I'm worried about next year. So we'll see. Because your student population may go down some more, but I doubt it because we're seeing.
So basically, if our taxes were lower, it would probably help it, I would assume.
Say that again?
If our taxes were lower, it would probably help it.
Well, they're looking at whatever your overall
Right.
value is as a town. So if, which I don't know anything about. So if your taxes go down,
It's value of every single piece of property in town.
Well,
Yeah.
So if it's appraised high, which in return would be,
That would raise your value.
right.
Is it home
home sales line.
It's home sales, yeah.
Right.
Yep, it's based on home sales, so, I mean, if you've done a recent appraisal,
Since COVID skyrocketed, so.
yeah, right, and so.
Howard's been saying that for, are we the only town that has a TIF, do you know?
I don't know, and I have no idea how that plays into it. Yeah,
I mean, it shouldn't,
Windsor-
it shouldn't
Windsor
be,
does. No, we're not the only town with a
because
TIF.
it shelters
We're
the
not the
value.
only town with a TIF.
It
Windsor
shelters,
does.
it shelters the value for when the TIF was
Yeah.
implemented. Yes.
So I'm assuming the state doesn't count the TIF.
It
But,
does, it freezes it for when it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, so when Windsor went through this, and theirs was much more dramatic, because they had, CMP came in, and so suddenly they were, instead of being worth 200 million, in 1 year, they were, 280 million, I mean, it's dramatic. And so they're bringing in all this revenue, and they're pretty excited about the revenue, and they're buying road equipment, and their roads look beautiful, and all that stuff. Well, this subsidy thing hit them 2 years later, right? Because it kind of takes a little while to catch up. And so I came to them with this presentation and explained what's going on, and they were angry. What do you mean you're gonna be charged? And so eventually people started to understand that you can't, all that revenue that's coming in, the state knows you have it, and if you are, putting it into a designated fund or putting it away, now Windsor knows, okay, some of that money is gonna need to pay down this education bill, because essentially the state is forcing you to do it. That's how it works. It's called ability to pay. And so at one point in time, so 15 years ago, you were getting 80% of your education bill paid for by the state. It's now 45%. So you can see how people are like, what's going on? And so, but this year, at least in my opinion, isn't too bad. But I'm worried about next year, and I'm only saying that because if your student population goes back up, which they go up, they go down, and because this is a 3-year rolling average, I am worried you're gonna once again lose subsidy. So I'm happy to talk more about that, but I mean, your own finances and how this would look. Our school budgets, they go up 3-4%. It's the subsidy thing that different towns are getting hit in different ways. Now, you're not the only one.
No.
The town of Olna, also getting hit this year with lower subsidy. Palermo, oddly, because Windsor had already gone through this, their property values only went up about 10%. Westport Islands only went up about 10%. Anyway, I was surprised to see that. Page 14 is just attempting to explain how the RSU 12 budget works. There are controllable costs, that's the staff that you see over there that are negotiated with the board, health insurance, things like that. All that stuff is controllable, right, in terms of costs. But there's a huge portion of the budget that is not controllable, and lately, it's been going up more than the controllable costs. So the controllable costs, we negotiated with staff, and it's up about 2% a year as a whole. The uncontrollable costs, which is your high school tuition, which includes regular ed and special ed. So those costs, and we just pay the bill, are up, 6%, and special ed's up 8%. That's a bill we pay to the various high schools where our kids go. And then there's this insured value factor, which is also increased over the last year. So the board wants me to sort of explain to everybody who will listen that there isn't much to cut, because half the budget, we just pay the bill. Now, there are things we can do to save money. I'm not telling people where to send their students, but Erskine costs a lot more than Coney does. So we have school choice, and so it's very difficult to tell people what to do. But I was pretty excited to hear that a bus is coming into Chelsea, because every student that goes to Coney instead of Erskine, it's a savings of about $6,000. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends.
And so at the end of the day, it's more about education than it is money, in my opinion.
What's that?
In my opinion, it's more about the education than it is the money at this point. That's probably why they're all going to Erskine.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah, for sure. And I don't mean to downplay the importance of education, it's just, the costs keep going up. So, page 15 is just a list of all the recent legislation that has contributed to the pressure on increasing costs. I'm not gonna go through that.
So let me ask, the new supplement budget that I believe has just passed, 87 or 88 million, is there anything in that that's gonna affect this? Do you know?
Yes, that's the last, most important slide. So we'll talk about,
Oh,
I want to spend time on that,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
It's all good news for Chelsea and RSU 12. Page 16 is trying to compare RSU 12 budget increases, that's the total budget, to inflation. Page 17 is just attempting to illustrate how, because in RSU 12 as a whole, this is subsidy as a whole, because most of our towns have been seeing spikes in property valuation over the last couple of years, you can see our subsidy has been fairly flat compared to, if you go to the first 3 bars prior to COVID, you can see how subsidy would kind of keep pace with your costs, but then it kind of flattened out, so we've had a rough couple of years. Page 18 is the proposed budget. And so we are at a 4.8% increase, and that took a lot of work. It started at a 9% increase, so that's been a lot of work over the last couple of months. When you subtract the revenue from state subsidy and other revenues, you get a local increase of 4.2%. And so that number, 16.8 million, is the number that is shared by our cost sharing formula. Page 19 is the cost centers that you vote on May 20th. So we've got regular instruction is the biggest number, but when you look at it, I broke it out by what is tuition and what is regular instruction in our schools, and that's where you get the 2% increase for controllable costs, and the uncontrollable costs are at 7.5%. The other cost center to look at, which is a little higher than normal, is facilities and maintenance, number 9, and that is up primarily because of the roof replacement, but also, we are safely budgeting for oil. Like I don't know what to expect. So, but it's mostly the roof in there. Page 20 is a picture, so you can just kind of see the size of things as you look at the various cost centers. Page 21 is comparing system admin. So system admin is our business office, it's me, and comparing to other districts expenditures per student. So we're still amongst the lowest in the region. Page 22 is a look at how we're doing cost per student. This is regular ed only, this is K-8 only, in order to compare to other districts. So, again, trying to provide a good education while being efficient. Page 23 is the revenue broken out. So at the very top is the proposed budget, and then state subsidy. We've got some miscellaneous revenue. We've got a credit from the federal government. We are using a fund balance of $740,000, which we've been doing the last couple of years, but it's not the best budgeting in the world. We're gonna run out of money. So anyway, we're doing that. State agency client, which is when we educate foster children, we get money from the state. So total revenue, 13.2 million, local share, 16.8 million. So page 24 is the local cost sharing and how it plays out for each town. And like I said, there's moving parts. It's how many students do you have compared to the rest of the district? How much subsidy did you get compared to the rest of the district? And so, Chelsea ends up with a $84,000 increase, which is 2.6%. Some years our formula, everyone ends up being about the same. This was not one of those years. It's kind of just every town a little bit different. All right, so the question around this budget that's passing at the state level. So we've got a bill, so I'm on page 25. We got a bill called LD 226, and it looks like it passed, which is fantastic. So thank you if you called your legislators on that one. So what does that do? So for me, I like to say that it makes our funding formula fairer. So what's been obvious over the last 6-7 years is that because the subsidy formula is based on property values, and only property values, this weird thing that's happening after COVID is, to me, artificially depressing certain subsidy in certain places in the state, RSU 12 being one of them. For whatever reason, property values went up in RSU 12 more than the rest of the state as a whole. And that's also happened in other places. The Mid-Coast has been a place where it's happened. So this law, and so people recognize that, they did a study, it's true. And so what they've done is they've said, okay, the funding formula moving forward will be based on property values, but also your local community income. So to me, okay, the property values have been going up, but it's the same people living in the same homes, making the same amount of money. Nobody's getting rich here, right? But yet you were losing subsidy. So this law, I believe it passed or it's about to be signed. They were doing mock-ups of what would have happened if this law was in place for this budget cycle. So RSU 12 would have gotten an additional $1 million based on this law. And Chelsea is one of those towns that would have benefited, because when you look at the local median income, you can see how that would work. So hopefully that passes and it'll go into effect next year. There's a gradual, I believe, and I don't quite understand how it works, but there's going to be a gradual implementation. So we're not going to see this windfall next year, but we will see some for sure. And then the other, let's see, our top of the page, Liberty. So the town of Liberty is looking to withdraw from RSU 3, which is, Liberty's up by Palermo, northern end of the district. They would like to withdraw, and they've been talking to our school board about potentially joining RSU 12. The great thing about Liberty is that there's about 80 students. They are a minimum receiver like Westport Island. but we have, at the K-8 level, we have room for their students at Palermo. So we wouldn't need to add teachers, we wouldn't need to add staff, we wouldn't even need to add special ed staff. So the only costs would be, high school tuition. So when you plug in the cost of high school tuition, we might also have to send a bus to Liberty. An additional, we're trying to figure out if the Palermo bus can just go to Liberty and get the kids, so we wouldn't, we'd keep the costs down. But when you add those costs in and you look at the revenue that the town of Liberty would bring in, everybody benefits. Costs go down across the board for all towns. And that is on the next page that shows that. So this is what, if Liberty were with us for last year's budget, if they had joined us last year, so you can see they bring in, they would, we'd apply the same funding formula. It's based on student count. And so they bring in about 1.3 million. Like I said, the costs for high school tuition, I estimated about 300,000. And so when you do that, the costs, don't go up as much as the revenue coming in. And so that's how it ends up being spread across the other towns. So in terms of Liberty, they are attempting to withdraw from RSU 3. We'll see if they do. They're gonna have to, whenever a town leaves, they have to pay off the debt that's there, so I don't know what that bill will be for them. But they want to leave for two reasons. Their elementary school got closed, and which is understandable, but the drive for the kindergartners is like an hour and a half, people are saying, to go up and down all the hills and through the towns there, or whatever. So that, they don't love that. So to Palermo, it's 7 miles. But the other thing is they don't have a funding formula like we have. Their funding formula is based strictly on property value. And so they're paying, $40,000, $50,000 a student, because they don't have very many students, but they've got, all that lakefront and everything. So they are paying, they don't think it's fair. This is similar to Westport Island. When RSU 12 first came together, Westport Island, same deal. We based it on property value. They barely have any kids, so they were paying like $50,000 a student or something. So anyway, that's why they're interested in our funding formula, because yes, our towns will save money, but they're actually going to save money too, because they said they're paying about $2.5 million right now to the school district, and if they join us, they're going to pay $1.3 million. Because you only pay by student in RSU 12. So anyway, those are two, I think, pretty exciting things. If they withdraw from RSU 3, that would happen in November, and then we would need to have some votes. The lawyer was helping me figure out, can we do it and get them into next year's budget and get the kids to start July 1 of next year, and you can do it. So that's it.
Holly?
Yes.
I think Mike had a question. There was a supplemental bill, and I was actually gonna ask about this too, that just came out recently.
Yep.
And there was a good section about educational funding and things in that. Does any of that supplemental bill affect this budget?
Oh, this budget? No, not that I've heard. No, it's this LD 2226 was my understanding, but
No, this was just
No, this was,
recently.
yeah,
Oh,
this
really?
was, this was like 2212 or something like that.
Oh.
It's a huge
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
supplemental
oh,
budget that just came out, and there was a bunch of sections in it about education costs.
for this year, I think.
I don't know a lot about it, other
Yeah.
than I believe it has passed.
Yeah.
It's a supplement that is supposed to send out $300 checks to low and medium income families.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there's anything in that, I wish we had a representative here, but
Yeah.
is there anything in that that could affect this?
Yeah, I hadn't heard, but I'll go find out. I was focused on next year. I didn't realize there's money right now. Any questions, comments?
I'm all set, thank you.
I've gone back, I wanna try to touch base on this, our valuation.
Yep.
I've gone back and looked at our percentages over the years. Obviously, we're made up of RSU, municipal, and the county. And typically, in years past, the RSU is our portion is typically in the mid-60s.
Mm-hmm.
The town's portion is 30-ish, sometimes high 20s, but sometimes closer to mid-30s. And then the rest is the accounting.
Yep.
So the past 2 years, and it appears possibly this year,
Mm-hmm.
the RSU is gonna be our share closer to like 75-ish.
Mm-hmm.
The town is closer in the mid-teens, and then the rest is county.
Mm-hmm.
So the past 3 years, we've seen that percentage go up, 10%-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're saying that our evaluation, it keeps going up, can that be part of that 10%?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at what you, if you're talking about what you paid locally, right? If that's what you're referring to, then that's exactly what I'm talking about. I think last year, I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure it went up like 8 or 9% locally to the town of Chelsea because you had lost so much subsidy. So our budget may have been, our school budget also wasn't great. It was a bad year all around, but school budget might have been up 5%. But the town of Chelsea, as I recall, it was not a good year at all. So yes, the last couple of years have been, pretty challenging, pretty difficult, because this situation has been magnified in Chelsea, I would say. But it's happened in all the towns to some degree. Palermo also has had this problem. So I think what you're, because our budgets, we're not, anyway, so yes, I can see that
So-
why that's happening.
If I get my dates correct, 2012, we had a reval. I believe 2014-ish, we got into this TIF.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a few years after that, I believe you started saying in these meetings that,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on with your value?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the TIF, if that TIF affects us at all. It technically should, because it shelters the value.
Correct.
But it's just coincidental that
Yeah, there's coincidental.
the time he started,
Is the TIF do you generate revenue from the TIF? I mean, is it a business district? What is it?
Yeah, and yes, there's omnibus that has potential for business,
Yeah.
and then the pipeline,
Yeah.
yes.
So if you generate revenue from the TIF, are you obligated to only use it for certain things? Okay, so yeah, that kind of boxes you in, right? I'm sure the state call the state, I don't know, but I'm sure they count that revenue when they calculate subsidy,
They
but then
count
you
it at
can't
the
use it.
frozen, no, they counted at the frozen value the day the TIF was created. Any value above that gets dedicated to our TIF plan, or, so.
Okay. I'd find out how that works. I don't know in terms of the subsidy, because, you can't touch that money so in Windsor, we had this meeting where they were very confused and frustrated, and some people in Windsor who understood explained to the board that you can't spend all your money on road equipment. You've got to save some of it for the school district. But what you're telling me is some of the money that you're bringing in, you have no choice. It has to be designated, I don't know how much money we're talking about, but it has to be designated to whatever the TIF rule
plan,
is.
the TIF plan,
Yeah.
which could be in Windsor's case, roads, it could be
Mhm.
in their plan, we have
Mhm.
some of that in there, cause that's
Mhm.
how you got your road
Mm-hmm.
situated. Economic development is what a TIF is
Okay,
geared towards.
yeah, so you can't use it for essentially, decreasing people's taxes. You can't pull it out of that fund.
There's certain avenues around that some municipalities do, we don't do that here.
Yeah, so I've just seen it, and this year isn't too bad, but I'm worried about next year. And so in terms of the re-eval, and I don't know when the last time you did that, my understanding is that your valuation is based on home sales. But home sales are a pretty inaccurate way of deciding what's a town's worth. So if you do a re-eval, you can compare what you've got to what the Maine Revenue Service is saying. And if there's a discrepancy, you can challenge it or something. Because essentially the lower you can get your town to be worth, the more subsidy you will get. And it has less to do with your mill rate and your, so.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, right now it is, jeez. So, all right,
Alright, well, thanks for coming.
okay, thank you. Sorry, that was way more than 15 minutes. I hope you're not here too
Usually
late.
is.
Yeah.
It was under the hour, we're good.
Okay, all right.
You're welcome, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank
time.
you.
Alright, so number 2, Maine Municipal Quitclaim Deed, map 2, lot 044-CO, Moon Island Capital LLC.
This was a tax proposed property, actually right down here. And the owner who lives in Florida, his son was supposed to have paid the taxes, and he realized it after tax foreclosure went through, so he called right up and spoke to Sandra and sent a check immediately, so we have no tax foreclosed properties from fiscal year '24.
Correct,
So,
and they paid all the taxes in full.
correct, so we need to quit claim it back to them.
Okay, perfect. Any discussion from the board member? Okay. I'll make a motion that we do a quitclaim deed for map 4, lot 44-CO, 140 Togus Road for Moon Island Capital LLC.
I was just looking, I'm not sure now, I've got 2 and I've got 4 here, so I
Yeah.
could have been, you remember the call, Sandra? Oh, it's on the
It's
deed.
on the deed.
Yes, if you just open that up, sorry.
Okay.
Next page, go to the next one. Next one. Right there,
Map 2.
map 2.
So I'll make the motion, map 2, lot 044-CO, Moon Island Capital LLC.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Alright, number 3, review, discuss, and possibly approve summaries of charter amendments for the town meeting of 2026.
As you will recall, Children, we have worked diligently on proposed amendments to this charter. The attorney went through all the proposed changes. He has drafted charter amendment questions with summaries, which is in your packet there. And he says to use the summaries, the select board would need to find that printing the amendment language on the ballot is not practical, and order the clerk to use the summaries rather than the amendment language itself. There was about 15 pages to address these 9 questions, should the board choose to put that on a ballot. All charter amendments have to go to written ballot, okay? We cannot vote on them on the open town floor, open meeting on the floor. So you see the 2 pages, there's 9 questions.
Can I ask a quick question? So to clarify, the townspeople could vote yes on
Tanya.
one?
Can you do the podium, please? Thank you.
So to clarify, the townspeople could vote yes on one, no on two, yes on three?
Technically, yes, they could,
Okay, just,
yes.
that's what I thought, I just wanted to clarify,
Yes.
thank you.
Unfortunately, because there was not a charter commission approved to be
So open the
voted
whole
in,
thing.
yes, it would have just been a one question, do you approve all the amendments? So now we have to go question by question, and there's 9 of them.
So on the warrant, there'll be these 9 questions.
This will be on a ballot. when
Oh,
you have the
yeah,
polls.
okay, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but it will be on,
And then,
it will be on there also, yes, but it will be a ballot at the polls on June 9th.
and so they're gonna have those 9 questions, and they're gonna answer the yes or no.
If this board so
Written.
chooses to
Oh.
take it to the voters, yes.
I mean, I don't know how many people have looked at the charter, and are gonna realize what we are changing.
I think this, honestly, Chairwoman, comes in the form of education. I'll do an information booklet, as I have in the past, explaining this. We'll also have a chat with the manager about town meeting at the end of May. If anybody would like to attend, basically reviewing everything, and I'll explain the process again, similar to what I've done in the past.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with putting this out to the voters. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm fine with it, I just think it's just gonna be a landslide no because of lack of knowing what's going on after the last election of where the voting turned out, but that's what I wanna do this time.
The unfortunate thing was I did provide information on what that charter commission question was, people just didn't take the time to read it.
Right.
Mike?
I'm fine with putting it on.
Okay. Any motions?
I do.
Oh,
Thank you.
Sean?
In question 2, it authorizes the town manager to act as fire department purchasing officer. Spencer asked me to come tonight as a representative of the fire department. Does that mean that Christine approves and buys everything for the fire department, or the fire chief used to be the purchasing officer?
That's great.
It would mean that I'd sign the purchase orders instead of having Spencer sign them, so, yeah. And I forgot to mention that to you when we talked the other day, so.
But they're still ordering.
Oh, yes, no, absolutely. I mean, if I have, like, the finance director or the town clerk wants to order something, they just say, hey, we're gonna order this, is this all right? And I'm like, absolutely, as long as your budget sponsors it, you're good to go, and I sign the purchase order. So, I'm not controlling what that department's
Okay,
spending.
so they can still buy what they want, what they need, what
That
they
is
feel
correct.
they need. Nothing like that changes,
No,
they just bring it to you and you just sign.
I sign off on it, yes.
Similar to what's going on now with the purchase orders.
Well, Spencer, actually, the chief signs them now.
And
He
brings them
just
to you.
would bring me the slip saying, I need a purchase order for this, and I'll sign it. So he's gonna make the decisions. I don't pretend to know what that department needs, or what the town clerk needs,
Okay.
or, or what CDO needs. That's their forte. They know what it takes to do their job. I'm not gonna judge that by any means.
My only recommendation is this is gonna add more workload to the fire chief at this point, I believe, in the long run.
I actually personally think it would be less for him, because
Okay.
I'm always sending him slips back saying, I need a purchase order, I need a purchase order.
In
So-
21 years, we hadn't done them until the last 6 months, so
Right.
it's added workload to the fire chief position to have to do the purchase orders. And we used to just send in slips and write on the account where it was coming from, and then we get quarterlies or something on where we're at with things, but I'll keep it at that for the, okay? So I got clarification on that. Purchase orders will continue the
But
way
it's
they are.
not gonna slow their buying process. Like they can,
It's
okay,
No, not at all.
okay. Alright. Any other public comment? Alright, seeing none, do you need a motion?
I do, thank you.
I will make a motion that we, put on ballot for the June 2026 the changes to the Chelsea Charter, questions 1 through 9,
As summaries.
as summaries.
No second.
All those in favor? Jacob, you?
I'm standing.
Abstaining?
Discussion surrounding the reallocation of ARPA funds from 2025.
So you, as a board, will recall, probably early in 2024, I asked the board that was present then to make a motion and approve a vote to allocate the ARPA funds to the new building, new town office. That was allowed by ARPA rules to have the board vote on that, not necessarily the legislative body. That board voted to put the almost 300,000 to the new town office. Last fall, the voters did disapprove the authorization of a bond up to 600,000-ish to fund that additional monies to build the new town office. Well, ARPA funds tells us that the funds have to be committed by the end of 2024, which we did, but spent by the end of 2026. Now, we do realize that we're not gonna have anything done on the new town office by the end of this year. So I went into the ARPA portal and I changed the allocation to what they call loss of revenue after speaking to the ARPA representative for the state of Maine. That was his suggestion. Now, in that ruling for ARPA funding, it tells us if we classify the ARPA funding as loss of revenue, the board has to approve it to be spent on a project that might not have necessarily been funded during that year, okay? Which would have been fiscal year 25, because it had to be allocated by the end of December 24. He advised I speak to the auditors on that whole process and how it should go down, I guess you could say, or should be facilitated. After speaking to the auditors, they're working through some of the legalities as far as the audit goes, but the suggestion was that this board now reallocate those funds to, my recommendation is, say, paving, fiscal year 25, okay? That's gonna leave what we did spend on paving in that amount to lapse to fund balance, okay? With the agreement that as a board, you will understand that that 300,000 at some point in fund balance will be used for whatever you end up deciding later, okay? Just don't let it lapse to fund balance. That wasn't the idea behind that, okay? So if we do not do this, we will be sending back 297,000 to the federal government by the end of the year. And I don't think that's what this town wants or needs. It's kind of like an ARPA auditing partnership.
It's just very confusing.
It is very
Trying
confusing.
to explain it to a resident.
It is.
It's gonna be hard to.
Most towns didn't end up with this because they spent their money just like this. And you saved yours. And actually, the gentleman from the state was very surprised that Chelsea still had their money. He said, oh my gosh, most of them are gone. Now, are the ARPA police gonna come and audit? Probably not, but at some point they're going to catch up and we're gonna have to mail it back. This is the cleanest way to make this facilitate through the books. You as the board vote to take the ARPA funds and allocate it to the paving projects that happened in fiscal year 25 and let that remainder that was in that account, summer roads in fiscal year 25, which I'd have to look at the number, lapse to fund balance. It's doable because the audit hasn't been finished yet for fiscal year 25.
figured you'd make me come up anyway, so I'm not. Didn't you guys just vote on that 300,000 last meeting?
That was the roads carryover.
Right, summer roads, which she's talking about, summer roads.
That was a carryover, but this is to actually allocate the
But
ARPA.
do you see where,
Yeah, that's where
where it's gonna get confusing? Where, that's what I'm trying to say, is you're talking about 300, or almost 300 here, a little over 300 there, and you just took 300,000, Last meeting.
525,000.
but, you know what, like, that you'd actually found out you did it twice, cause you did it in September too. But, like,
This is kind of like, I would say it's more in retrospect, because they did allocate it for the new building. And because it's not gonna be spent on a new building, if we don't spend it or reallocate it, we're sending it back.
right, and I understand that, but do you guys understand what I'm saying, how you just did the money and
It's
we're
just so much numbers flying in the same year.
flying in the same year about summer roads, summer paving, summer that, so it's just,
Well, you can put it to winter roads, I don't care what you put it to, it's just my recommendation.
right, I'm just, but, okay, I just was kind of,
Is
It's
there a
the-
way
yeah.
is there a way to journal an entry?
That will be done by the auditor, that's why
Okay,
this
that
has to
they'll see
happen.
it.
Yes. They're gonna actually look at these minutes and they're gonna say, this board said, we are now putting this towards whatever you decide,
Towards the
K
fire
U
truck,
B.
that last fire truck, we have to build money on it, we put it on that? Is that a possibility, pay the fire truck off?
That was,
that was death then.
that was the first year of that debt. That's up to you guys if you wanna spend your 300,000 on that.
I think it's more value than a hot dog be broken in the.
As a resident, I'll speak as a resident right now,
Yeah.
we have $290,000 sitting here. We have projects in town that could be taken care of. The sand shed needs work, correct? That's on the agenda tonight. The fire station needs new stairs out back. That's all money that we don't have in the budget right now. My suggestion is we look at those projects and we put this immediately or very soon into those and at least carry it into a project that we know we can spend it on now and get it done in 2026 before we have to send the $290,000 back because we carried this over to build a new town office and it isn't gonna happen. So my peace of mind at this point is we should come up with some projects that we can spend it on wisely, I guess, at this point.
It has to be spent on a project that happened in fiscal year 25, okay?
What if,
And then that amount
so did the
will
sand shed,
go to undesignated.
But we didn't build this, we weren't building a town office in 25, so that's what I'm saying, this is the part that's not gonna make sense to me.
Because in fiscal year 25, the board voted to send the 290,000 dedicated to a new town office. And I reported it to the ARPA portal
So
as
that was
building
the
a
screw
new
up.
town
Sorry
office.
guys, that was a screw up.
Because that was the motion forward, you had allocated your sale of your cell tower towards it.
Yeah.
The plan was to
Right,
use
okay.
this plus your
So-
reserves.
so even though some of those projects have been in the works for the last year, we don't really consider because we haven't done them.
No.
So what big projects we didn't do any big projects in 2025.
That's why I'm saying you should put it towards your roads.
But that would be a current project coming up, correct?
No,
It is,
it's going to pay for what we spent in fiscal year 25 on the roads.
and then
And then,
reallocate it.
well, that balance will then lapse to fund balance.
Okay.
We have to dedicate it to a project
That's already
as
been
loss
committed.
of revenue,
That's been
correct?
committed. Okay.
Because we're kind of doing it in
Yeah.
arrears now.
Yeah, we're backpedaling a little bit.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't want to send the money back.
I
So-
agree, that's why I'm saying, we
Yeah.
need to find a project, I think, or something that it could go to so
Which
we can carry it
it-
over.
And that's what the auditor said was,
Mhm.
let it go to undesignated fund balance, well and fine. You guys can say to the voters, or you not, this is entirely your decision as this body. We'll let it sit there, maybe you use it for taxes, maybe you use it for an addition here, maybe you use it to pay off the last payment on the fire truck.
It's-
Either way, it's going to have to go to special town meeting once it lapsed to undesignated, okay?
Right, because we're taking the ARPA funds and we're paying off the summer roads, and then we're taking the summer roads money, and that will go to,
Correct, correct.
Undesignated.
but can we earmark, what I don't want to have happen is that money should go to a great purpose. Like, I don't think it should just be piddled away I think it was a gift that the town was given. I would like to see it go to, like Sean says, like some bigger expensive
Which-
projects that we were looking at, cutting things to pay for.
You absolutely can do that. It's gonna be in your undesignated, and you can understand in your mind, remember, we put that 290,000 in undesignated. Let's go to special town meeting to spend 100,000 on the sand shop set. Let's go to spend this much on that. And we'll go to town meeting saying, we put the ARPA funds over there because the town meeting didn't facilitate in the time frame that the federal government allowed us to spend it. Okay?
Can we do it all in this town meeting, so people can see it's gonna have to go into town meeting? I just worry about that lapse, that people are gonna,
Unless you come up with
like,
some
people are gonna
projects-
raise an eyebrow and say, what are you doing?
Unless you come up with some projects in the next couple
Well,
of
at the
weeks.
end of the day, if we
This-
would've voted on the town office beforehand, it would've saved all this paperwork in question to know what the money's gonna be going to. Instead, we did it kind of carrying it along, hoping that the town people would vote it in, they didn't. So it kinda come back on the offices, you know.
Well, the townspeople didn't vote down a new town office, they voted down taking a bond. So there's
Correct.
two different things.
Which the
They
bond
didn't-
was for.
Right, but we could technically still do a new town office without a bond.
You did vote the sale of the cell tower to be funded for the new town office. That's put aside.
And that was when
That was before I got
Scott
here.
was here, that was a while ago.
275,000 was approved for a new office with the sale of the cell tower. So it had been put into motion, which is why that board at that time said, let's take the extra 290, add it to the 275, we're at 500,000. It was like planning ahead.
I think we need a visual explanation at this town meeting, so
This-
people can,
This has nothing to do with town meeting.
There'd be 30 people there anyway, so it's not really.
well, I know, but
This is for state ARPA compliance and auditing tracking purposes. By ARPA rules, the legislative body does not vote on how you spend your ARPA funds. This board does.
well, I know that they don't vote, but I'm like, if somebody, like, if I was sitting at home watching this, I'd be like, and maybe that falls on us to get the word out of what we're doing, but I think it's gonna raise a lot of questions, but we have to do something, cause there's no sense of sending the money back. So I guess the only option we have would be to do it, to let the money go back into the fund balance.
You would vote, you would motion, second,
No, you don't.
and vote to allocate the ARPA funds be,
Spent on the
spent
20.
on summer roads or winter roads, whatever you want, for fiscal year 25.
Right.
So as it is now, it can't be used for sand and salt shed, it can't be used for steps.
Right,
But-
it's, you
The
guys have
ARPA
already
money,
capital
the
improvements.
ARPA money can't.
It
But
hasn't worked
until
out.
it's
What she's,
Right.
what she's asking is the step that we need to do so we can spend it on.
Whatever you end up
Later.
wanting, yes.
So what has to happen is we motion what she's asking
Yeah.
to get it into the road, summer road budget for 25, because projects were done in 25.
Correct.
Right.
Then when it's not spent, it gets rolled over to undesignated fund balance, where then we go to the townspeople
Yes,
and we come up with it. So from when we do this to the time we go and ask the townspeople, you come up with your projects, whether it be that, the sand and salt shed, or any other
absolutely.
project that is out there.
And then when you go to town meeting, you explain, this was the ARPA funds that lapsed to undesignated due to the rules. This is what we'd like to spend it on now. It was essentially free money. I don't wanna send it back.
Right,
But
no,
this is a chance for you to get $300,000 worth of projects, whatever you end up figuring out, but it's gonna go to the legislative body at that point. Right now, you as a board have a chance to allocate it to summer roads, and then that balance will lapse over. I know it's very confusing and
ARPA is super confusing.
So
They changed the
technically,
rules on it several times.
All we're
It's-
doing is labeling money differently so we can actually
Correct.
spend it now, because we can't spend it the way it is.
Correct.
What's our payment on the fire truck?
100,000.
80?
100,000.
So you could pay the fire truck off and get that off for next year's, I mean, there's,
There's a lot we could do.
Well, I'll make a motion to allocate the ARPA funds for 2025 to summer roads for that year.
And that's all you gotta do right now.
Right.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Thank you. I'm sorry it's super confusing and I had to get it straight in my head and
I mean, I understand it, I just wanna make sure, like, townspeople understand it, I don't want them to think.
Well, as long as it's explained correctly, but we all know how that can happen is,
Exactly.
It seems pretty simple though.
well, it is if you explain it that way, on how we had to do it this way in order to be able to spend the funds.
the way we
Basically,
want.
all
Properly.
you're doing is taking it from basket A
Oh, yeah,
and putting it to basket B. So later on, you can spend it on C, D, and E.
but it has to,
Basket B now involves the town, correct?
Right, basket B, the
Whereas
town,
before, basket A, they decided with
Right.
you or whoever.
and by
Yeah.
saying town office instead of capital improvements.
Yeah.
Right.
So now
And I
it's,
think, this is just my suggestion, but I think as a board, as the fire department, as office, I think we should come up with more ideas than we have money for, and I think the townspeople should be able to have a say in where this money is spent.
they have to now.
They get to have a say.
they get to have a say, but I'd be careful with putting out too many ideas, cause then,
At the end of the day, it's only just like $300, $200,000.
I mean, ultimately, that money probably is coming from the taxpayers.
It is.
Bang every day.
Nothing to do with COVID.
No.
We're still talking COVID, jeez.
All right, moving on. Review proposed fiscal year 2027
Did you guys have a
budget.
vote on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
I thought so.
Recommended at the end of the meeting.
I would recommend we go skip that right now.
Oh, okay.
And go on to the rest of the business in case people
Okay,
wanna
somebody
leave.
wants to go. All right, so going to old business, next steps. So we need to figure out what we're going to do with the following properties: ABC Fuel, Cheryl's Mills, Walter Ames Jr., Birch Street, George Moody, Quail Run, Eugene MacArthur Senior, Collins Road.
So we do have judgments on all these properties.
Okay.
We've spent a ton of money on them. However, our code enforcement officer, his hands are tied because you guys are not giving any direction on it. If you want to go in and clean up the property and put a special tax against them, do you want to clean it up and lien them? Do you want to go after them for their fines? What does this board want to do? Because the issue is, we've spent all this money, there's no sense to start this initiation, we've got 7 more sitting and waiting, if we're not gonna follow through. And these people know we're not following through, and they're sitting there, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, what's this board's pleasure on facilitating through to complete these?
I mean, obviously, I've said it before, I don't wanna take anybody's home away. But assessing a special tax to them,
It would be, you would authorize to go in and clean the property up, whatever those costs are, gets taxed on them. If they don't pay that within 18 months, we foreclose on them.
so you're back to taking houses.
You could put a lien on the property, which sits there until they sell the property, and then they get paid back, but, I mean, I would hate to see the taxpayers fund $15,000 cleanup and not get paid for 20 years until something happens with the property.
Do we have, estimates on cleanup, or no?
I have not gone that far
Right,
yet.
you don't know what we
Right.
wanna do, okay? Alright. We started it, I guess we should see it through. I don't like only 18 months, cause I think that's a very short time. But I don't know that the town can fund and carry balances for years. So right now, I don't know how I would vote. Jake?
Well, first off, I wish Greg was here for some of our meetings, he hasn't been to a lot of them lately, it's, you know, this stuff gets brought up and he should be here. Secondly, him not being here all the time, it's hard for us to communicate is, last I was aware, this is all in the court's hands.
No, you have all your judgments.
Right, but every time I talk to Greg, it's in the court's hands, so. It's just a communication thing, in my opinion, and if our meetings were every 2 weeks, we could be a lot sharper on this stuff. I said it from the start, all these places, especially the first two have been years now, of just wasting our time and money. We're not gonna pursue the ordinances of this town, then what's the point of having code enforcement or doing any of this? So, it's my opinion, we go full steam ahead with this and follow through with what we're enforcing. And if it costs us money to clean these places up, then I guess it slows down the other end of the Seven's office that are under investigation now. So I'm in favor of going full force ahead and either demolishing these, whatever we need to do.
First of all, I think we need to discuss each one of these. First of all, are they in these houses now?
My understanding is 3 out of the 4 are occupied, yes.
The first one, we have no idea.
I don't believe there is anybody there at this point because there's no working
So-
facilities.
He has an outside.
Enlighten me on Birch Street, is that the one up on the left? In Collins Road? Where,
Up past our house, maybe 3 or 4 houses, blue trailer sits back with all the junk cars around it.
okay,
His father
and
has a
someone's
junk
living
car.
in there?
Yeah.
Well, this is a tough decision when it comes to forcibly, if we looked at this, tearing someone's house down.
It's
All
not
right.
tearing the house down, it's cleaning the yard.
Well, depending on which way you look at it.
Sure, I understand what you're saying.
Other than the first one, these next 3, the first one, he has put a lot of his money into it, and it does look a lot better. These other 3, you know, we can call them a dump, but it's home to these people. I'm more in favor of, as Jake said, go after these. You know, you go in and start cleaning things up, you're throwing bad money to, I mean, Janet Jellison was a little different, and I think that worked out good for us. But there's one guy on here that, you know, you forcibly take him out and we destroy his property. Who's to say he doesn't come through that door on a Wednesday night or comes in the front? In today's society, you have, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you didn't think of stuff like that. You have to think of that now. I just think before we make a hasty decision on forcibly taking someone out of their home and bulldozing it, you know, we're gonna have to put them up somewhere. For how long?
Well, the first one we wouldn't, because he stated he's not.
No, but
living there.
I'm just, and again, I think we have to do each one
Right.
on a separate basis.
I know we had a report for Quill Run as well, that the son was gonna help.
He's walked away.
Yeah.
It's walked away.
Son
Because
said
dad
just-
has a mental illness and just
Yeah,
can't.
I didn't know.
What
anything
did you just
about
say?
it, but-
He has a what?
The dad has most
You
of
know,
these hoarders have mental illness, and the only reason I know that is because I stopped over there.
I know the gentleman, he used to come into my place all the time.
Kind-hearted, but just,
Absolutely, but you don't know what someone's breaking point is
right,
when it comes to, you know, maybe this gentleman up in the corner is gonna be one of the guys that goes in and forcibly takes him out with some of his compadres. And then what does he do in a week or two later? I don't know, I'm just throwing out the options.
And that's fine, and then weigh out, do we keep code enforcement, do we get rid of Greg's hours, cause if we're not gonna enforce it, then what's the point of paying Greg?
I'm not saying we don't enforce it, I'm just saying we have to look at what we're gonna do to that person, when we forcibly take them out. You know, what can they do? You know, we have a staff in there that, they have no idea when, he's here to register a vehicle, they open the door and you just don't know what's gonna happen. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen, and Christ, I hope it would never happen. But in today's society, you have to think of that. I would rather look at, obviously enforcing it, whether you can do a fine per day, you put it on the, eventually that land is gonna be sold. That property is gonna be sold somewhere down the road. Will we be around when that happens? Probably not, I don't know. But I'm not gonna be in favor of forcibly taking anybody out of their home.
So one of your options, per the attorney, is to begin proceedings to attempt to recover the statutory penalties and attorney fees owed pursuant to the court's 80K. For Quail Run, currently he owes us $90,826. For Birch, it's currently at $136,700. Okay, so are you going to collect that? Probably not.
So the moral story is we have to get rid of code enforcement, that's the moral story, if we're not gaining anything, and we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars going backwards, and we're still living in these places, so it's a lost cause, and it's unfortunate.
Can I get clarification on that? You're saying the town spent $90,000 on one property?
No, that's
So
what,
his fines are.
that's what the fines
Fines
are.
are, okay, thank you.
It's
That's-
$100 a day based on the first,
and he's- So obviously they're not gonna do anything.
so, refresh my memory, ABC Fuel, we had the warrant to go in, but he wasn't there or didn't let us in.
it was not there and the warrant did not clarify us having forcible entry, so we're waiting for the court to reissue that.
So when we get that, Greg and probably a deputy can go in there, correct?
That's correct.
So I think that is our next step on that one. Are
It's
we-
been that way for quite a while, like with court, that one.
I know, well,
We
A
had,
minute ago it wasn't the court, so I don't know.
we
no,
waited,
that one has been in court.
Right.
we have the judgment to go in, and Greg went there, but he
Right.
wouldn't,
The law enforcement, the sheriff's department would not forcibly enter because
it wasn't
the
written.
warrant did not
Right.
say to be
Right,
forcibly
right,
entered,
right.
so
So
we're
that's
waiting for
what
it
we're
to
going
be
back.
reissued.
Right, so
Yes.
can we get a status update on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll get a status update on that.
I think we're actually waiting until Greg gets back from vacation and the court's gonna order it again, we were waiting for
Okay.
that, but yes, I will give you a status update the next
Okay.
meeting.
And then Walter Ames, he lives in his house. He's made some improvements.
We had another complaint the other day on him.
Yeah,
So is that one, what was the last set of court orders on that, do you know?
The last was in April of '25, he had to pay us $500, which we did not receive. He was to remove all unregistered vehicles within 14 days of this order. If he defaulted, it was $100 per day from November 7th, 2022 to the first notice of this violation, which is the $100,000 that I told you. So if it says, if the defendant fails to fully comply, the town may remove or cause to remove all such material from the property and may assess the cost of removal and remediation to the defendant. So we have the authority by the court to go in and clean it up.
Right.
And how we apply that cleanup cost will be up to you guys, but we can special tax it or we can lien it.
I'm okay with going to clean it up and putting a lien on it. Cause it's obvious you didn't pay the $500, you're certainly not gonna pay anything in 18 months.
However, like, if we go clean it up, he's obviously just gonna trash it again, right?
He hauled off some vehicles, but then brought more in.
Right, sure by the other day, there's much, I think, change in tree height. I think it would be great to go clean it up, I'm just worried about, I know that it's gonna be a waste of money again, he's just gonna turn around and trash it immediately.
If that's the case, your suggestion would be go in and clean it up, special tax it. It would be on his next tax bill, he'd have to pay the cleanup costs. You're not gonna get that $90,000.
Well, no, but then he's not gonna pay the increase in the tax either.
Well, then what ends up happening is it forecloses,
Right.
that you would recoup it when you sell it, similar to what we did with Truman Drive.
Right.
Are they current on the taxes?
Yes, I believe so.
I like that idea then.
Go ahead, Cody. Thank you.
So if we go in and clean it up, would we be able to sell those vehicles and use that to the, late fees that he already owes and bring that down?
I mean, you can haul them to a crusher, but junk rate now is so low that it wouldn't make much of a dent.
Well, if it's 3 vehicles, $1,000, better than nothing, right?
All that would have
Just a
to be
roll-off.
documented anyways.
Right.
Well, it depends on how old they are, you're gonna have to have a title.
Right.
And if he doesn't have the
So-
title, then you have to put in for
Yes.
abandoned title and.
I mean, I think we wanna stay away from what we do with Janet Jelson.
Well, that's right.
I believe the town purchased 2 trailers for that lady,
And again, it's
and
mental,
over the
mental
past
illness.
40 years. And like Jay said, we don't wanna go in and clean it up, and then
Right.
in 5 years, it's back to where it was.
Yeah, it's-
I like the idea of what we did on Truman Drive with that property. Although he was willing, he gave that up, so this is different.
Yeah,
Well,
You know-
Truman Drive foreclosed because of taxes.
Yes,
It wasn't because of cleaning up, but we had to document every single penny that we spent, and we recouped that. I got money for Greg's hours, my hours, Sandra's hours,
Lawyer fees,
lawyer fees, real estate agent fees.
advertising,
It was all documented. He ended up with 13,000. I forget what it
19,
is.
I
Okay.
think it was when it was all
Yeah.
said and done.
So we got our costs back. And that's what will happen if we go in and clean it up.
So when you go and clean it up, what about the inside of the house, how does that work?
That's not gonna be judged, that's not
Right.
what was,
That's
Unless there's kids in it.
huge health issue, right there, if there's kids in there, it's a huge health issue.
there's no kids
Yeah.
in any of these, except for maybe the
Right.
first one.
Right.
that would be a DHS, and we've called DHS on several properties, and they don't go well.
No, it's awful, it's election time, it's terrible. I'm personally fine with putting some bids out to go clean that up. I'm not sure if law enforcement must go with them to help clean up or how that works. You guys know about that or?
It's just situation specific, I mean, if it outlines that we need to go, then we'll
Right.
go, but
We-
typically.
I was gonna say, we probably would use one of the details to have them stand there with the orders when we're cleaning this up.
And with cleanup, is there a certain guideline that you go by on cleanup? Like, is it taking the excavator, raking all the trees and lawn, making it beautiful, or do you just clean the junk up?
You tell me what you'd like in that bid.
Right,
My suggestion would just be to get all the junk off to start with.
right. Yeah, I'm fine with cleaning it up, getting all the junk out of the way and putting it on the following taxes.
Doing all 3 of them that way. Walter, George, and Eugene.
I'm gonna tell you probably gonna get a better bid if you bid all three as a package.
Right. The Collins Road one,
I don't know how you're gonna get all the cars out there.
right, the
Some
way,
of them,
the
the
way out
trees.
back, right.
Some of the trees have grown like through the cars. I mean, that was,
I honestly don't even, it's out of sight, out of mind to me at this point, like, these other one, people are gonna drive by and see literally the trash, like, the Collins Road one's out back in the woods, it's, to
well,
me,
he still has quite a bit, there's still quite a bit by the road that we could make better for sure.
So how are you gonna handle that? They just show up? Or are we gonna try to get each one of them in, sit them down, explain to them
Oh, I would, yes, I
what
would
is gonna
probably go
happen?
visit them and say, look,
I would-
next week at 10 o'clock on Monday, there will be an excavator here cleaning your property. Here's a court order that says we are allowed to do this, this is what's going to happen.
it's only doing that,
Yep.
that's on the taxes and, you
Yep.
know, pay the foreclosure and.
You'll have law enforcement with you when you go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on Searles Mills, we're waiting for,
The next court
we
order.
can have the sheriff go in. Cause this one might be fine inside,
Which one?
Searles Mills, it might be, I mean, I doubt it from the
Well, it's the better
outside,
of all of the four.
but it might be okay, but he won't let anybody in to look at it.
So my suggestion is, you direct the town manager to work with code enforcement to source out bids for the cleanup of these three properties based on the court orders. Let me come back to you in a meeting or two, say, these are your bids, what's the next steps you want to do, okay?
Have you met with other than the first one, have you met with each one of these three?
I have only met with Quail Run.
Do any of you know the other two? I don't.
I know one
I
from the
know
fire
Eugene.
department and Eugene, because I know he's been in town forever.
Yeah.
I personally,
You have a relationship with them?
no, I know him from town resident, you know, we're not related, no,
I mean,
but I know everybody in town. But
I don't mind going to Eugene and
Well,
saying,
so
listen, this is
where
what.
I'm going with this is maybe, I mean, I don't mind going to Quail Run. If you're gonna have a meeting or you're going there, I don't mind, I think I get along pretty good with the guy. He frequented my business a lot, so
He was fine with me the couple of times he met with me.
I'm just thinking, if the person has familiar faces he's looking at,
Right, it might be
whether it be
better.
any one of us, I think that goes a long way.
I mean, I can go to Collins Road with you.
I just think the Birch Street one has been pretty much a slap in the town's face the entire time and not going to work at all, and it just keeps getting worse, and I think cleaning that yard up is more important than the other two at the moment, just because of the situation you're gonna be in with one of them. And I personally don't think the Collins Road one is as urgent, I mean, it's out in the woods and, I don't know, it's a lot of coverage there. That's my personal opinion. But if you wanna get prices for it, then we can decide in the next meeting, whenever you guys get together. I just don't wanna drag this out any
No.
longer, cause it's been dragging out, in my
Yeah.
opinion, for years too long.
Ultimately, it would be a goal of mine to have them all set and cleaned up by commitment, so we can add that tax onto their taxes come
Right.
September.
Right.
What line item you gonna take that money out of?
I don't know the answer to that yet.
I mean, worst case scenario, you got the Woodlot account, we would have to have permission from the townspeople. I mean, that's there for, I won't say that reason, but,
It could be paid back once
yeah, yeah.
they pay the tax or, yeah.
Okay, so you need a motion. So I'll make a motion that we do a bid for Birch Street, Quail Run, and Collins Road. For the town manager to take bids for cleanup, bring it back to the select board, and we'll decide the next steps. Searles Mills, we're waiting for the port and grade so we can enter. That's my motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you. We will work on that.
Okay. And then funding of repairs of the sand and salt shed, we tabled it.
This was from your February 26th meeting. You wanted a little bit of time to think about it. I'm getting ready to write the warrant for town meeting. We had talked about having an additional article to see if the townspeople wanted to fund it out of undesignated for the 30,000-ish to do the repairs.
Well, is it a moot point if we're gonna take the ARPA funds, move it, we could just,
You could wait until you get to that point when you have projects. But that was, we had done this prior to making that decision
Right.
tonight, so, it's up to you guys if you wanna continue to table this until we figure out the next step.
well, that's
Where
a
we're gonna go with that.
pretty good sum, I would hate to,
It was 35,000.
34, or whatever.
yeah, altogether.
So, I mean, if you think about it, if you wanna get the repairs underway, which would be ideal during the summer, we have less materials in there. Take a separate warrant article to take it out of undesignated. We already know fiscal year 25 is gonna end up lapsing back, so you can consider that when you're looking at projects moving forward for that money. Hey, we kind of already spent that out of undesignated, so there's that option also. I just hate to see it sit through another winter, because then we're back in the same spot again in the spring.
I'm fine with putting on the ballot too. Yeah,
To get it done, because it needs to get done sooner versus later.
I would suggest a separate article, because I didn't place it in the budget. We'll just explain it, I think we talked about that.
Mike, your
Yes,
thought?
fine.
You're fine with that?
Yep.
You need a motion?
No, you're gonna approve the warrant article,
Okay.
as soon as we think with some you're gonna approve the warrant with the article, so I'm just following the direction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we're going back to,
Did you wanna finish the rest of the meeting first, or do the written communication and stuff?
town manager report.
Let me see. Town meeting, the clerk's been pretty busy for, the past few weeks. The new voter system rolled out, so they've all been getting training on that. There was a class I attended that said, a lot of municipalities are putting off paving this year because of the high price of oil. We're actually having a road meeting the week after next to decide what we're going to do as a road committee. And we had talked about at least focusing on the 4 roads that had their sub-base 2 years ago, because they have to be taken care of this year. Possibly putting a top coat on the 4 or 5 roads that we did last year, and then just holding tight and spending the rest of the money on ditching and culverts, preparing for hopefully a reduction in oil prices, so next year we can spend more money. So just, I'll let you know at the next meeting what the road committee decided. Fiscal year 23 audit is done. Each of you got a copy of that. No noted issues or discrepancies. We're in pretty good condition. We did close out our First National Bank account that was in wealth management. It's going to Kennebec Savings tomorrow morning. We're gonna sub-account that, similar to what they did at First National. We also closed our Northeast Bank account, ended up being 1.67 million. That's going to Kennebec Savings in the morning also. And Sandra and I are gonna work on sub-accounting all of that to match up with what the audit said those funds would be quote-unquote dedicated for. I will let you know that this past Monday, Dot had successfully secured a volunteer to do some plumbing here for our kitchen, free of charge donation. We were not able to find a water shut-off. I called former manager Tilton, he didn't have any idea. So we looked at the map, I called the school, they didn't have any idea either. So I got an email into a friend of mine at the VA who's the head of the facilities. Hopefully they can find something. So it's on standstill right at the moment, but the plumber will be back as soon as we can find a water shut off.
We have sources. Rick, Tanya, do either one of you know where the shut off is?
That wasn't on my agendas.
No?
No.
Well, I didn't know if it might have come up with, on the school board at all.
No.
for-
Most likely there's a curb stop somewhere out in the yard.
A water district can't come in.
Yeah.
It comes from the VA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's what,
We found a map that shows some, and it's like, well, best we could figure, she found something this afternoon, it's 120 feet that way, and then 60 feet out that way, so I need a metal detector.
some of
Well,
this
it's gonna
stuff,
be behind the old school probably.
Yes, it is.
I remember, I can honestly say, I remember it was somewhere between here and the old school, because the reason we ended up, rid of the old school was the sink hole in one of the bathrooms was because of a water issue. And if you remember, the bathrooms were when you walked in on this side, so it's gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, 300 Gibson Street.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
it's up that way, because it shows the back boiler room on the map, and it's 65 feet beyond the back boiler room, so I think it's out in the field that way.
That is a pretty good map.
Well, she found another thing in the vault this afternoon, so.
Which vault?
Well.
Oh.
So we're working on it.
Okay.
I think that's all I got.
Town office report in there, I think that's all right. Code enforcement is in there. So he thinks he found the cause of that smell on,
And we haven't had a report since ice out, so I'm assuming it was
what
just
is that? Okay.
the water under the ice.
Alright. Animal control is in there, fire chief's report, saw that in there from Spencer. School board is in there for
Yep.
that. Boards and committees, I do not have any.
Well, they just always report here. Oh, before you go to that, could I just add something?
Sure.
The mail server continues to be a problem. I sent out the package on Friday. Multiple emails came back, said it could not be delivered again. I think we talked about this a meeting or two ago. So I reached out to our IT person. He said it's to do with the servers further out now. So there's a couple of options. We can just send the agenda with not all the supporting documents in the email, or when we get through the budget process, the proposal that Beneficial Technologies has sent us to update our IT includes something called a secure drop or something, where I would put it into a program, link that in the email, those people would be able to go into the secure drop and view the materials. That way it doesn't send the megabytes and all of them get it. So we're working towards it, so please, people that are not getting the emails, it's certainly not me, because I'm still have your email, but it's just bouncing back because your service did not accept it. It was too large.
And it shouldn't, I don't know why the server's not, cause I tried to add one in at work.
Yeah, I don't know, I got the email from our IT guy, and he's like, it's not you, if you're able to send it out, it's not you, it's the recipient, so. But we're working on it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the boards and
That's okay.
committees.
Dot,
Tomorrow is the age-friendly free lunch here. If you're interested, they're serving corned beef and cabbage dinner. They decided to go after St. Patrick's Day so that people could enjoy it because it's out of the season for it. The fundraising committee continues to be working towards the June 13th barbecue event that we'll be having. I hope you all can come. Free meal. Those two will be in the dunk tank.
Not this time.
And we've sent out letters to businesses to sponsor. And I received a phone call, and I reached out to Kennebec Savings, since they seemed excited to have the town as an account, and they do a lot of community sponsorships. Sent them an email, and within 5 minutes of sending the email, they called. And they have, committed to giving $1,000 towards the event,
Sweet.
Very nice.
so that was good.
Okay.
The event in June will have 2 bands playing, free meal, the dunk tank, bounce house, that type of stuff. 11 to 4.
Do you think the school will let us put a flyer in their like end of the year packets?
Probably.
That would be.
Yep, as long as we create it and print it and give it to them, they send it home with students.
Okay. Perfect. Nobody else, right? No. So the only thing I have is, I've been out and about a lot, and there's a lot of people out walking their dogs or kids on bikes, which is super exciting to see in our town. But just be mindful, you know, sometimes our corners and gullies, you can't see them, so it's my only thought.
I remember when I first started my term, I had mentioned, you know, from April to, you know, November, going every 2 weeks at our meeting, just because there seems to be a lot going on in town, and the once a month thing is, it's just hard to do business that way. I'd like to potentially either put it on the next agenda to discuss that, or make a decision tonight to, you know, go to every 2 weeks during these summer months, just to help keep business flowing better in here. And talked to a resident in town a couple weeks ago that it said that he had paid somebody else's taxes in town on a mistake somehow in here. I just don't, how's that happen?
If they give us a wrong account or a wrong address, we're using what they're directing us to do,
If they don't bring us the slips
right?
from the tax bill and they just give us an account number or an address.
Are you talking about Fowler? Okay.
Oh, it just keep my attention, because he paid somebody's $1,000 tax bill, and he doesn't know who they are, doesn't have any ties to them at all.
You should,
And he's gonna get credited, he said, which he's worried that they're gonna figure on the road that he was in the, he's just concerned that he's gonna get it on the bill because of a mistake.
have them give us a call or come in.
Somebody had called him, I talked to him, it's,
Okay.
but it's just a little concerning that he paid some of his taxes and he had no idea where they were.
Well, I mean, we would have only done what he said, I own 83 Togus Road or
Right.
whatever, so.
And that's what I said, he said, no, I have no tie to them, and whoever had called him and said, do you know these are, I have no idea who that is. It's just slip up in here, I just don't know if that's, how's that happen?
It just depends on where it came from, whether that was a mortgage company,
Could
whether
have been a
that was
mortgage
somebody
company.
paying it, a change in owners or change in mortgage companies or something like that.
Right.
Sometimes those things happen.
Has it been corrected for him?
He said they're gonna credit him back, and it's not a mortgage company,
Okay.
paid it direct, but it just doesn't make sense to him.
I don't think anybody's called us.
Somebody from here called him and told him, Brian skiing down in Intervale, that one of those last snowstorms, the lower half of that field, the plow crew just dismantled down there. It's, I don't know how they plowed it, but it's pretty bad, he didn't know if somebody take a look at it, rather than just leave it.
Yeah, that is in the contract, he has to fix that, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the lower half
Okay,
of the field down
Yeah.
there. And that's the 2-week meeting thing.
You said April to November, like the 1st of April to the end of November?
Right.
You're thinking every 2 weeks? Can we discuss that tonight, or do we have to put it on the agenda
my
for
suggestion would be to put it on the agenda
Okay.
in case people have,
a feeling?
yeah.
Okay.
I will tell you honestly, not that I'm opposed to that, but most municipalities space it out more in the summer, because once they get their budgets done, there's not a lot to talk about when people are on vacations and stuff, and then pick it up again in the winter, but whatever this board decides is.
Yeah, cause in summer, what do we put out to bid? We already have the summer road.
We can do it all year long, I don't care either way.
We should be putting all of the, based on what you guys have said the last 3 meetings,
Right.
there should be a lot of bids going
Right.
on this
Yeah.
summer.
No, but I'm just thinking,
Sorry, I didn't get up and go to the podium.
no, it's fine.
Let's put on the agenda, we'll discuss it next week.
Yeah.
I'm all set.
We're gonna do the budget.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so now we're gonna go back to the budget rules. And I forgot what that was. You have one?
I don't have, but I have updated sheets, so I'll give you the sheets as I go. How's that?
So can we call the meetings at, or we can, do we call them?
No,
Okay.
you're not gonna call anything, I mean, they can certainly stay if they like, and you're just going back to item 5 on the agenda. And you can, complete as much as you like tonight, you do have another one scheduled if you so choose, May 6th. So I will tell you, the budget committee, bless their hearts, got through it all in one night, they hustled, so, all right, so. There's some sheets. This is section. This is section 5, administration salaries. And budget committee members, I just updated these sheets with your numbers, which you probably already have written down. Budget, I forgot how we did this last year. I think what I did was I just told you basically how the budget committee voted. The budget committee on administration salaries, section 5, voted 6-0-1 with one abstention for the amount of $290,753. They removed $10,000 out of the proposed vacation bank. With the assumption is they wanted to see how much it was used with like people getting paid out for vacations and whatnot. So depending on the first year, they may build it, they may reduce it moving forward, but that was what they reduced that to $5,900. So they took $10,000 out of that, out of the total number. 6-0-1. Let me preface this by saying that the board, the budget committee ended up totally cutting $59,550 from the total budget, and most of that came from the protection and enforcement. They cut the recommendation of the
Law enforcement.
yes, the details in half. So, but we'll get to that one.
Jay, Mike, Paul?
It was my understanding that when we hired the finance, that was, what, 20 hours a week, or it was 22,000 or something? 2 days a week, that was when I first started with that.
2 or 3 years ago,
Right.
yep. Then we increased that position to full-time last year, and we lost the other part-time.
Right. And we're still paying the payroll company, correct?
That is correct.
So why
That's in a different line.
Right, so why can't we have one of these positions do the payroll?
You certainly can. I tell you, when we decided to go to payroll, I don't think he was on the board. It's probably a 4 to 5 hour a week commitment because of all the IRS reports, sending stuff into the state as far as taxes and the new paid leave stuff. You can certainly put it back. My suggestion is not, because you're gonna be sending people to a lot more education for payroll requirements. There's a specialty company that gets educated on it. I send it in once a week, the hours. And and they take care of the rest of the direct deposit. If it comes back in-house, we will not have direct deposit. That was another reason that we sent it out. We had employees that lived paycheck to paycheck, and they were getting a check on payday and having to wait a week for their funds to be released, which is why we went to direct deposit.
Isn't the finance director, also working on stuff to take away from
The auditor.
Ron, the auditor,
Yes,
to
yes.
help?
Yep, we actually started on, well, she started, that position started on, working through the process of balancing the checkbook, so we'll no longer be paying for that to the auditor, so the position is paying for itself. I'm gonna tell you right now, if that position is reduced, I don't have time myself to sit and balance the checkbook, do the payroll, and help wait on the counter. That position also helps wait on the counter. When we are short-staffed in the front office, they answer the phone, which I do also. I also wait on the counter. It's kind of a backup. They do the motor vehicle reports. Both of us have tag teamed on training new employees. It's a very valuable position for what little money we pay. It's an all-around position.
I just got a census from a lot of people in the last month or so on, staffing. There's a lot of staff in here. There's a wicked increase in the last, since 2023 to now on, commissioners' increases big, and they're concerned that it's getting out of hand. I'm just trying to figure out a way to knock it down some, that's what their wishes are. That's all. I mean, for years, there was 3 people in here, now there's 5, so. The increase in people isn't anymore. Residents, I mean.
Mike, you thought?
I see what the staff does. I see how they interact with the residents. This is the best staff I've worked with in the 16 years I've been here. If I get a complaint out front, it's because in years past, it's because someone didn't know what they were doing, and I had to sit there and wait and wait and wait. People, if we cut anyone out there, then you're gonna get the phone calls of, geez, I went to the town office on my lunch break, and it took 45 minutes for them to do their thing. Every time I'm at that town office, inside here, I see the people, the residents come in and how they interact with our staff, and it's amazing at how they get along and interact with them. You can tell that they enjoy what they're doing, they stick around. I was here last week, and a gentleman that was at our town meeting, and some of you people are gonna remember this, didn't like, this is probably 5 years ago, did not like one of the decisions on a line item, stood up and threw his what do I wanna say? Town report in the air, turned around and walked out, and that town report come down and almost hit a lady. And I know some of you people know who that person was. That person was in here, and was here Friday, and he stayed here and talked and laughed. I haven't seen him in this town office in a long time since that incident. He used to always volunteer his time. He doesn't anymore. But to see him interact with the girls was a testament to what our staff is out there. I am not in favor of depleting that staff, one bit whatsoever. Just because of what I've seen out there. And as soon as you cut people, you're gonna get the phone calls. I had to sit there and wait, I'm on my lunchtime, it's unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. So I've seen a change in that town office, and I have no desire to change it, but that's just my opinion.
I think the knowledge that we possess out there is greater than we have seen in a lot of years. I'm not for bringing payroll back in-house, and if you're asking for trouble, and having direct deposit is almost a necessity these days. I am okay with taking a little bit out of the, vacation bank. But I don't wanna cut any out of, any positions.
If you're concerned about the bottom number, Vice Chair Susie, I've brought this up a couple of years in a row. You are allowed by the TIF plan to pay for economic development, which should be coming out of my office since we don't have a contracted person. In previous municipalities, 10% of my pay was taken from the ambulance enterprise and 10% was taken from the TIF. Which you're allowed to do if you, in a roundabout way, it reduces this number, but that number gets allocated out of the TIF funds, okay? Which I guess saves a little bit on taxpayers' money. And that's certainly an option. I'm not sure that the past couple of years people have understood that. It's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in another. It's just less money you're gonna be able to spend on capital improvement later from using it out of the TIF funds.
I'm kind of taking 12,000 out of vacation bank.
So we'd leave everything except for vacation bank would go down to 59.
The budget committee recommended 5,900.
You wanna take 12 out, Jake?
Yep.
Jake wants to take 12 out. Mike, do you wanna take anything out of vacation
And
bank?
what is that gonna affect? Again,
$2,000?
no, what does it affect?
That is, paying out people who get done. It could be like, for personnel policy, if somebody can't, if they banked 4 or 5 weeks and they get paid out some vacation because they can't use it. I've recommended this several years in a row. You need to have that, and you also need to have a health insurance buffer in case people take health insurance. But, I mean, I'll continue to put this in every year. It's up to you guys how you want to do it. I'm trying to make you fiscally responsible for your employees. Those are one of your biggest assets. You don't want to lose those.
Say that again?
Employees are one of your biggest assets.
Oh, absolutely. But you think by cutting that line, we're gonna,
You won't lose employees over cutting a vacation bank, but it's not fiscally being a good steward of taxpayers' money if you have to pay out, because you're gonna end up having to overdraw the line.
So I left enough for one person, essentially.
But theoretically, what could happen is all the girls out there say, I don't wanna take vacation, I want you to pay me out for my vacation week. And we give them that option.
I would never
No.
suggest that for an employee, for
Well-
fiscal, to make sure that they're not messing with funds.
Right.
And that's standard across all labor markets, but
But if they bank it and they say, okay, I'm leaving,
you're gonna pay them.
you're gonna pay out all of that instead of
Correct.
taking some vacation time while they're here and.
In the case of the clerk that just left, she left a month beyond her allocation of vacation, we had to pay her.
Mhm.
Because they get allocated on their anniversary. So,
That's what happened, so I'm looking like they are. I should know what happened, so I'm probably not.
Hobble over here. But, we also discussed, if all the employees were to take health benefits, that wouldn't cover it.
yeah.
What's in there right now would not cover their cost or our cost to their health. So you don't wanna take it too low.
Right.
That would be the benefits section.
Well, I guess I'll be in favor of leaving it the way it is. I mean, if you need $10,000, I can't believe there's not $10,000 somewhere else.
When I did this, I figured, I calculated that vacation bank. I averaged it out, say 10 hours for 52 weeks at $30 an hour. Some don't get that much, I think the lowest is what, the lowest, yeah, $23-ish. So that you kind of take an average, and then, you know, vacations, they get 33 and a half hours for vacation time. So there goes your 3 weeks, there's, you know, 20 right there. So that was just kind of an average of what I figured when I thought through that process.
Is the vice chair of the budget committee gonna pipe in? Oh, no, you abstained from this, didn't you? Or, yes. Part of the reason the budget committee reduced it down to 5,000 is if we did a little bit this year, because it's a bank, we're not allocating 15,000 every year. Hopefully not every employee walks out. It's happened before, too. So, I mean, is if you do some this year, some next year, that bank builds. That was the thought, and how that, in leaving something but reducing it down.
I mean, I'm okay with the budget committee. If that's not your 12,000, it's only 10.
Right, no, it's not. I'm just trying to keep it as a, you know, one person, one that would cover most of the vacation. But
Well, so Mike is in favor for town manager proposal. I'm okay with the budget committee. And Jake, are you okay with the budget committee?
yeah, I'm fine with budget committees, yeah.
Okay. So I will make a motion. Do you need a motion
I
now?
just need a recommendation on what,
Okay.
what number you would like on there for the warrant.
So, because of Jake and I would say $290,753.
And
Unless Mike wants,
do you wanna go against the
Yeah.
297?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be 2 to 1 to 0. Okay. This is section 6, administration expenses. They did, recommend taking $1,000 off from office supplies for a total of $103,300. It was a 5-2 vote. mean, I'm not sure that there was necessarily a reason, it was just, they were kind of trying to be fiscally conservative, I guess.
Isn't postage going up next year?
It is, but I did increase it by $1,500. We just put our last $1,000 on the machine today for the year, so.
We're not doing any money towards the website.
So, the website, as you will recall, that got reduced last year. At town meeting, the amount got reduced, so I wasn't able to put the new website in. So I was just gonna let it go this year, knowing that we didn't know the school numbers and whatnot, so maybe look at it again in the future.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we need to address that, that's horrible.
I think Tanya had asked about that, and
Yeah, I did, I'd cut everywhere else except, and I'd added that back in, that was mine. Just because, I'll be up, I mean, look
It's
at other
awful.
towns around ours, our website sucks.
It's
Sorry to
awful.
put it so bluntly, but it does.
it's an old WordPress,
Yeah.
it's miserable.
It's disgusting.
It's very hard to navigate.
It's
Dot
not
I
you-
struggle with it.
No, it's a bear to
It
load
is.
anything on it too.
We've talked about it numerous times, and I have to post at work, so and the one I use for the state legislature is archaic. This thing's, WordPress is even worse. I mean, it's like one of the first real, which was great, Chelsea was ahead of the curve. Now we're very behind the curve.
Yeah.
And when you guys look at like assessing and other stuff that's gonna be coming up, and all the stuff that should be on our website that's not compared to other towns, now I cut everywhere else and put that back in, sorry.
Well, I mean, I just think people are savvy now when they're looking at buying homes and they wanna know what the town has to offer, and if that's what we have to go by, it's sad, like, we have a great we have a great fire department with new trucks, we have a lot of community engagement, like, we have all this stuff.
I didn't price out the whole recreation
Yeah,
thing this year because
no.
it was a huge chunk, but spilled out over 3 or 5 years, I forget now, but it got.
Is that
cut.
something we can take out of the TIF?
We may be able to, I might look at that, yeah, I might be able to use that as like community development.
As a side suggestion, I know you guys are doing budget and I don't really wanna get off topic. There are great computer programmers that are studying at University of Maine, Augusta. We might be able to reach out and have one of them do something with our website with current stuff as one of their projects or capstones or something like that. It might be really worth reaching out.
Well, the unfortunate thing is we'd have to have a new program for them to.
Right, I'm just saying,
They
we
can
have,
only work with what
right,
they
we could
got.
buy the program, but then we wouldn't have to pay a programmer.
To do it.
So that is a way to maybe look into, if we bought the program and gave them the tools,
Yeah.
would save us thousands.
The only problem I think about that, just quickly, is now we're gonna put IT on, because what if something's not working on the program, and as opposed
It's
to if you have a
not,
web
yeah, but
host.
usually, they're not.
The new programs are so easy to use.
Well, usually they have web hosts, that's why, like
Yeah.
Civics Plus, or, the smaller towns around here use another one, I forget what the name of it is, but, I mean, it's something we can look at for TIF later
Okay.
on if we want, absolutely.
Sorry, I got off topic.
That's okay.
Memberships,
And what's the memberships?
what's that, 1400?
Hold on, I gotta look at my stuff here.
I was gonna say, I remember that one.
That is, like, we were breaking out, as you know, I'm trying to get more details, I've allocated things to where they need to go. Memberships would be like being part of the Maine town tax collectors, being part of general assistance, town clerks, any of those memberships that employees belong to get on the listservs and get the knowledge and get the professional input and whatnot. So with all of the members that would be part of that. I'm sorry, all of the team that would be part of that.
So it's something we've been paying, you just broke it
Correct,
out.
I broke it out, yes.
Okay.
trying to be a little more transparent on what it's,
What did the budget committee,
they cut 1,000 out of office supplies. With 2 of them voting against that.
I mean, we just over the years, we've haven't spent more than 7,300, so I'm fine with putting it at 8,000. $3,000 off.
Well, this year we're probably, as of January 2nd, we were at 6,300. I don't know what that number is right at the moment, but we all know the cost of supplies are going up. That's all our
Oh, I know,
paper.
but we just haven't gone over that number in 3 years. You know, it's gonna go up 3 more thousand, but that's nothing new.
I'm fine with going down to the budget, what they recommended.
Yeah, I'm fine with budget. So, $103.30.
And 3,300.
Yeah, sorry. So it'll be Mike and Sherry and Jake. What did you want, Jake? You're against, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jake's it.
This is section 7, town office expenses. The budget committee recommended 7-0, the number that I put in there. I took a stab at the electricity and the heat. I mean, oil's so volatile, we know that. I put a $500 increase, but it could end up being worse than that.
Yeah, by the way.
I'd like to make a suggestion, when you have a sheet that's that small, could we make the lettering and stuff a little bit bigger? My glasses don't seem to work like they used
Still
to.
on bottom line.
You want some new magnification?
Just a little bit. Would be really nice.
I think he's gonna go crazy this year.
I don't, but that's my opinion.
It's, honestly, it's still early.
You could put a wood stove in or something.
Just have somebody run through the wall again, open it all up, put a fireplace.
I'm just doing the budget committee.
I hear you.
What's that, what was that?
3-0.
That's fine.
3-0.
Section 8, admin miscellaneous. Budget committee recommended 6-1, $38,200. And Tanya wanted 36,000, and I'm not sure which category you wanted to reduce, Tanya.
Let's see. Where am I?
Maybe legal?
Legal fees.
Yeah. They're not getting cheaper than $250 an hour.
Or maybe we're not calling as much. Part of the reason I had said reduce it down was looking at what some of the previous numbers had been, what we budgeted in the past, where we were. We do tend to go over, but trying to get that back in.
I think in 24, I pulled out CEO legal and put that in their own department. That's why you see a huge reduction in 24.
Okay.
So. So that does have its own line in CEO now. I did increase advertising because until we get all our ordinances fixed that don't require advertising in the newspaper, we're gonna continue to have costs of ads.
I'm not for the budget committee. And come in for 38,200.
Yeah,
Yep.
3-0. This
section 9, the assessor. Recommended 7 to 0, the same as the town manager. That is an increase, as you recall, the trio upgrade you did approve moving forward to start the process of the rebound. The assessor had talked to you and doing the first installment of the rebound.
I'm good with it.
Sweetie Joe. Section 10, contracted labor services. 7 to 0. Budget committee. I'm so happy I had a whole budget committee. 4,500, just office cleaner. KV Cog, we're done with them. We have paid our contract for the comp plan, however, the comp plan is not done. I'll have to tell you guys about that at our next meeting, but
It's not on the agenda.
I can do that actually. We won't have it for town meeting, let's just put it that way.
I'm okay with, what does the cleaning lady do? Does she go above and beyond?
I think that's a discussion off public.
Okay. Alright, then I'm okay with 4,500.
Is everybody okay with 4,500? This next section is section 11, boards. $7 to 0 for $11,600. Increase on legal ads, and that was all they increased.
I'm okay with budget committee 11,600.
I'd like to knock down the select board 1,000, that way all the select boards making the same money.
As it stands, the chair gets 3,000 and the other two get 2,000 each.
Mike, thoughts?
I'm fine with leaving it the way it is, or if you're gonna do anything, cut it 5, but the chair should get more money. You know, they're doing most of the talking, they're handling, you know, the issues first and foremost. So I'm fine with leaving it either the way it is or cut it 5. No, the chair should always get more.
I'm okay with cutting it 5. So it would be 11,000.
So 11,100, 2, and Jake, are you against or okay with that? I'm sorry, section 11.
So Mike, are you saying cut the select board from 7,000 to 6,500? Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right, so we have 3 to 0 for 11,100. Okay. Section 12, employee benefits. I think this is where Maureen had spoke about, what I had mentioned was the, you know, having a little bit of a bank, but this budget does not include that on health insurance, the cost of the cost. You get a rough idea, they increased health insurance by $3,000. You pay the same premium you're paying this year from July 1 to 12/31, January 1. Who knows what that payment's gonna be, because you're gonna have another 6 months in this budget of a new rate. So you kind of rough guess it. section 13, winter roads. We had one budget committee member abstain, but they voted 6-0 for the manager's proposed.
Okay with it?
Yeah, fine.
I increased sand and salt and calcium chloride, if we go to that, by 15,000. That line's gonna be overdrawn, but that is an allowable overdrawn by state statute because of winter emergencies, so. Okay, it's a 3-0. 321,760. Section 14, summer roads. There's a 6-1 vote for 710,000, and I didn't write down who voted against it, I'm sorry.
That was me.
Okay. I explained to the budget committee, if you're gonna look for cuts, my suggestion would be cut back a little bit of paving. Although you do have to use your excise on roads, and possibly cut back law enforcement, but I chose to go with the recommended amount.
The mat supply, I went on down to 500, and the grade gravel on 15,000.
What was it, 25 and the grade gravel what?
15,000. Just cause it's trending, that still leaves wiggle room at 15,000.
The only thing I would caution you on that is if, we have a dirt road that all of a sudden needs a ton of work, that's for gravel, that would probably eat into that. And the other thing is, that line sometimes gets used for like shoulders after we pave, which we know those other roads we're gonna have to add some shoulders. I mean, you can take it out of general road maintenance, but I'd like to kind of allocate it to
Well,
grade
I assume
gravel.
that'd be part of their bid would be putting shoulders on the hot top, that's the final code, that's the final.
We put it in as a separate package, because not all of the paving companies like to do that.
That's what the job security and hot top breaks, if you're gonna hold them accountable, and you hold them in their bid is, you put shoulders on as well. That's been a project, and that's what should be offered, that's my opinion. If you look back at the last 3 years, we haven't gone over 15,000 at all, so I think it's a risk worth taking.
I'm okay with the 710.
In 23, we spent 48. What did we do there?
I don't know the answer to that. That was the year I came.
So something must have happened.
Didn't one of our roads, we had put, which was it? Was it Don Deere that washed out really bad that we had to sink a lot of money into? Yeah, I think it was.
I think there was a bad
I
rain
mean,
storm that year.
We do it in the spring, but not that much. Something happened that year.
Who knows, it could have been something with a storm and that we got given back, paid for it or something.
Yeah, that could have been too. Yep. Which takes like 2 years to come back and do the revenue. I'm now closing out a 24 deal.
Okay, so where are we on this?
I got grade gravel at 15,000. Just trying to cut somewhere that's feasible.
Yeah, I thought you had something else too.
25.
The mat supply was 1,100 rather than 5,000.
see, that same year, that one was up too. Forget, and then 23. I mean, I'd go to 3 on that, Jake.
Yeah.
I see where you're going, I mean, obviously 25, 16, 22, but we had that one. So I would go with that personally, and
3,000.
then that's probably okay too, as far as dropping that 35 to, what'd you say? 15, I'm fine with that.
15, I'm fine with that.
Road construction, you've got all of that spent. That 500, if we cut that 100,
You can't, that's
No,
pretty
that-
much
that's
what
what
our
the-
excise is,
oh, okay,
so,
all right, yeah,
yes.
okay, no, I'm good then.
So 22,710.
20 minus 22,000. What is that, would be 6,
So we have now 6,4, I can't think that now.
688,
Sure.
No,
12 and 10.
yeah, 688.
Yeah. Okay, so are we doing a 3 to 0 to 0 for 688?
Yeah, fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Okay. Do you want a copy of that?
Unless they have a question.
I think I gave it to Spencer. 5 to 0 to 2, 2 abstained, 242, 509. I think in looking forward, Sean and I talked about working the pay a little differently to make sure that we're all set moving forward and we have a more easier to understand pay system and make a plan for their department, so that'll be in next year's budget though.
Christine, I have a note on here that you guys passed or the budget committee did 24009, because you took out the 2,500 for the photocopy that they don't have anymore.
You are absolutely right, 240, yes, I just saw that, 240,009, yes. That's the one that I asked you about, and you said you guys got rid of it a couple of years ago?
We got it from you and it didn't work.
I didn't know you got rid of it, we've been paying on it, so. So I took it out, I had added it into your budget to take it out of our budget, because we gave it to you. So,
That's
yes.
given right there.
Huh?
That's given.
Yeah, we had to haul it to the dump, it was given.
That wasn't for me, that was
Lesson
previously.
learned.
Good night, Molly.
No, take care.
Good night. 240,009, thank you for that catch, yes.
Yep.
Because I did take out the photocopier, you're absolutely right. Probably got interrupted in that sentence. So I will take that number off from my column also, and make it 240,009.
So the telephone on there, what does that even consist of? That you got a station phone?
They have, I put the iPads that they use in their trucks under that expense. It comes under US Cellular.
Right, it's the only phone service we have would be the iPad and,
Yeah.
with the mapping and stuff.
Right. Do we know the up-to-date heating bill over there?
I didn't bring it to the meeting. It doesn't recall that they're in trouble with that, if I remember correctly, when I was reviewing the budget,
Right.
Spencer. I think the only thing that we had a concern about was, the salaries, as far as paying for like calls and that sort of thing. Calls are calls are calls, we gotta pay them, so that's why Sean and Spencer and I were working on maybe adjusting moving forward or something like that, so. This will be lease payment 4 for the fire truck, we'll have one more after this year.
I'm fine with the budget committees.
Yeah.
240,009.
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining, thank you. Okay.
Are there plans to get them another copy, or they don't want one?
They don't want one, they have a
Okay.
little printer that they use. We had worked with Robin to try and add one on, and then they said they were all set, so we'll save some money. Public safety, section 16. This is the one that the budget committee recommended 6-0 to 1 for 86,541, cutting enforcement and safety down to 50,000. That essentially would be like half of the details that they do now. They do four 5-hour shifts a week, approximately 20 hours a week now, if they have enough staff. Past couple of months, they haven't run all their shifts. There was a note in your package that the rate was going up to 95, if I remember correctly, an hour. Yes, 95 an hour for next year. My suggestion to the budget committee was, don't completely cut them if there's any inkling that you want to keep continuing to clean up some of the issues we have in town. Because if you completely cut them and you just depend on them just nonchalantly coming through, you're not gonna have your drug enforcement covered. And if you decide next year, oh, well, we really want them back, you will not get them because there's another town meeting to pick up details.
Maybe with their budgets, who knows? So it's cutting them from 20 to 10 hours.
Roughly, yeah.
I was the one that made the motion on this to cut it to down to 50,000, even just easier number. Yeah, you see them around more. Yeah, the town people have liked some of it, but are getting a full bang for a buck that we really need another $50,000 worth of it. So it was kind of, and following Christine's suggestion of if you're gonna cut, that is a fair place, but keeping them here a little bit. I have mixed feelings on it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. The accident by my house, state cops came. 2 years ago when there was an issue with the salt shed, state cop and KSO came. So I mean, but KSO is sitting in my husband's shop yard a lot patrolling. So I mean, I see benefits and everything. I think the townspeople have made it clear they do want some extra protection in this town. So to me, cutting it back to half was a fair compromise out of fiscal responsibility. And also listening to town people's requests and needs.
Another thing too is if, you know, another town wants to add them 10 hours to make up the difference, maybe they can do that, and that will prove to us that there is town interested in it. 'Cause, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're cutting it back for 1 year or so to see, 1 or 2 years to see, you know,
Right,
if that's a lot. I personally am opposed to cutting it out fully.
right.
It is something I would advocate to keep at least partially.
I'm fine with the budget committee's recommendation.
Yeah, I guess I am too. I mean, I'm one for, not cutting it. I absolutely think it's a benefit. I mean, anytime you can have extra law enforcement is only keeping the community safe, but this year is definitely, with the school budget the way it is and you know, taxes are going up, so,
It's the right thing to do.
for this year, anyway.
So, 86, 541, 30.
Section 17, insurances. Budget committee recommends 7 to 0 for $38,500.
I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
Section 18, animal control. This was a 5-2 vote for $22,192. I don't recall why the two voted against it. Do you have that written down, Tom?
Yeah, it was a salary.
Sally?
What did she get an hour now? I can't remember.
23
Animal control is getting 21, and it will go to 22.
The thing she has to deal with, I'm not doing it for 22, so I'm okay with that. 3-0.
Section 19, ambulance.
I'm fine with it.
My goodness, guys, you didn't even let me get to my papers.
Mike, you okay with it?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
3-0 for 99,501.
Mhm.
Section 20, code enforcement. 6 to 1 for 98,653.
You happy with it?
The, substitute CEO, I'm fine putting it at 1,000, and the mileage at 2,500.
So I remind you that.
Oh, no, not the mileage, I didn't mind, it's something different. Just 1,000 on the substitute CEO wages.
You will lose your substitute CEO. I will let you know that. Greg's gone on vacation for the next 2 weeks. If you cut it down to $1,000, that this was next year, she wouldn't be able to even work. You'd have 2 weeks of people not being able to get permits, septic inspections, whatever we need here. I actually have her involved in a couple of enforcement cases due to conflict of interest from Greg's previous law enforcement, so.
So I'm working for work, but I'm in Madison doing a house, and there is a 5-town collaborative agreement with the 5 towns that they have a CEO, head CEO, and then each town has like an alternate that works for them. So there's one for Madison, Norwalk, Starks, Anson, those
That's
towns.
KB Cog.
And I've actually met the 2 gentlemen that work for those communities. One kind of is full-time for the 5 towns, and then there's an alternate that does this. I just know from this that towns struggle to get CEOs. It's hard to have them, keep them full-time and stuff does help with the retention, I guess, of it. But it's a thought maybe to look at in the future, that maybe we get together with some of these other towns and we try to come up with some sort of collaborative, like KV-COG agreement that they do up there. It works out, if one's out, the other one can cover for the person. And
Which is
vice
actually
versa.
what Sarah is full-time in Hollowell, oh, sorry,
No, she's
25
20
hours.
hours a week in
Okay,
Hollowell.
in Hollowell, yeah, so she's picking up
She
this
also-
alternate for Greg and the others.
But it's something that I think should be worked out. I like that part of it. It just gives that coverage, and we're, you know, each town kind of shares the burden where they have the needs for it, you know.
Right, so essentially, let's say 4 towns that Greg does, they're essentially all not getting things
Right in
done.
this area,
Right.
yeah, so, yeah. But maybe something to work towards, I guess, down the road for that.
Well, and also, I mean, Greg must be close to retirement.
He says he's going when I go.
I've only met this girl a couple times, but she's young enough that,
Right.
I mean, could this be a potential,
She actually asked me about
yeah,
that.
so
I didn't.
I would say leave it the way it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there probably wouldn't be on my watch because when he goes, I'm going. Or when I go, he's going over. Section 21 landfill. There's a 7-0 for $28,250.
Yep.
If you happen to read your book, we did. Augusta got approval to go up again, so that's good. We're secure for a little bit longer. Section 22, streetlights.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. I'll get these in order here. General assistant, section 23. Was a 7-0 for 7,100. I did increase personal. I seem to be having a run on cremations. So I did increase that.
And that covers that?
State
Well,
pays them back,
Yeah,
the
so
state pays them back.
if we spend $1,200, it's $1,200 and change that we're allowed by state law to give them. State reimburses us 70% of that, so we get $750, I think we got the other day, back on one of the cremations I paid for. Yes, but they do have to qualify. It is a general assistance application, so.
How many are you doing a year, or?
I had 3, I think, since the first of the
Doesn't
year.
that tie up, I mean, I know you get it back, but doesn't it tie up that $1,000 pretty quick?
Mhm. And then the auditor will do an entry to offset that for our revenues. Yes. Are you guys okay with that? As I said to the budget committee, we don't get a lot of general assistance applications because I question it. Oh, sorry, look, I'm counting here. Cemeteries and parks. There's 4 there.
Too soon.
Why don't you bring us up?
What,
Maybe next
are
meeting.
we skipping over?
Oh, sorry, no, overlay you don't vote on, so
Yeah, you
don't,
don't, yeah, you can't.
you set that a commitment. So go to section 25, which is cemeteries and parks. 7-0 for $17,350, and I will tell you, our new cemetery guy that's gonna do everything came and cleaned our stuff this past weekend. So out here has been cleaned over, and he swept the parking lot, which isn't part of the contract.
Clean the lawn.
Yeah.
There's rocks and pile damage up there,
That has to be done by the plow person.
Oh, they said that,
So,
right.
no, he took up all the raking and that sort of stuff. The repairs have to be done by the plow guy, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's foolish, okay.
Well, it's in the contract,
I'll leave it at that.
so. I'm good with it.
Yep.
for the mowing company to have to rely on the plow company to clean the lawn up, cause if there's conflict there, they're gonna be hitting rocks and it's not fun. And the grass is pretty green.
Well, it's certainly something we can look at.
Is this the timeframe when they're gonna get cleaned up, you know, or?
He said he was gonna be starting on the rest of them very soon, so I would suspect in the next couple of weeks if the weather holds out.
From the plow company?
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant the
When's the plow
cemetery.
company gonna clean up the? plow
I
company?
haven't asked him, I'll find out, but.
Let's get on it pretty soon, cause it's gonna be green, mowing
Yeah.
a week or two.
Let's see, where am I? Donations and contributions, section 26. So this one, I did recommend $7,250. However, I went to the budget committee and explained to them that there was a request from hold on, KB Cap for an increase to $500 instead of the $250. You'll see the letter in your package. They had a discussion that they valued what KB Cog Services gives to the town, so they did vote to increase it to $500, so their recommendation was $7,500.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, let me see, what's the next one?
The backpack program. That's the school, Good Shepherd, that's a school, right?
So I've been asked this year not to make a check to Good Shepherd, but instead to make it to the school, because I'm not sure that they're using all their services with Good Shepherd this coming year. So, but that's just how it happened to be classified on there, so. The check will be made to Chelsea School Food Pantry.
And we got a donation from Kennebec Savings, or for that over there, or no?
No, that was from Northeast
Northeast.
Bank, and I'm not sure if they've completed that or not, that was between them. and
Yeah,
the-
okay.
Well, we did just do the 12 month of giving and did a huge donation.
Let's see, that one we don't, sorry, that's overlay, we don't get that one either. Patient with me for 2 seconds, I just printed these all out. Budget committee, if you want new copies with the recommendations, just let me know, I do have them here. Reserve account.
The mice.
Is that a vote?
Oh, yeah.
That was a 5-2 vote.
How come in 2025, there's a lot of zeros in there? Like the town office, reval, equipment, with the recycling and all that.
We cut that year. We didn't put anything in reserve that year. And last year, you will recall that I originally had 5,000 in the fire department and 5,000 in, reval, and then there was a typo in the warrant, you can't increase it, so we had to go with the 35 again.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. No matter how many eyes you look on it, it gets a.
I'm good with 45.
The sand and salt shed, that's for repairs.
Mm-hmm. I don't have the number that we have in there, but yes, it could be for repairs, absolutely.
So they can take that out of,
I don't think we had
That
enough, if
person.
I remember correctly. I need to look at the balance. We didn't have enough.
well, no, but it'll definitely help.
Oh,
a little
yes,
bit.
yes, yep.
So what the,
I mean, we've spent it every year.
No, we put it away every year. That's what it means by
Yeah,
spending it.
well,
So it's at 14,000.
there's 30, there's enough money sitting there right now, but it looks it up to pay for it.
No, there's 4,000 from 20, well, I don't know what's prior to 23, I don't have that in front of me. There's 4,023, 5,024, and 5,025. And then in 26, there was 5,000, so that's 19,000. So, and I don't recall the balance right off the top of my head, but.
So it's at least half that, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the holes are fixed? Do we know? Yeah.
Till the next jump cut back.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, not really.
You're fine with the 45?
Yeah.
Mike?
Okay, 30. Okay. Section 30, for miscellaneous.
I'm fine with it.
7 to 0 for 6,500. And then, now, just as a side note, budget committee did not vote on TIF because that'll vary. I just have a placeholder in there also. There's no education sheets here, but looking at this number for Chelsea, it is going to go down based on what I had budgeted. I had budgeted, 3.4 million, so it looks like it's 3.3, so there's a savings there, almost $100,000. So you're probably, the budget you just recommended is going to probably be somewhere in the 160,000 more than what the budget committee, well, let me rephrase that, counting the school.
Right.
So, but you did do a little bit different than the budget committee, so. But I can recalculate new sheets and go from there, so. You guys rocked it right out. Questions?
We already like have a lot of fat items to have. Some there.
What is it, you say what's the word, my slush fund, the town manager slush fund.
I never use that word.
Somebody said that a couple years ago.
Former superintendents used to use
Ah.
that, that used to fry me to no end. Good lord, yeah.
The
Oh my
slush fund.
Best interest.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.